Boom right here in Istanbul, Jess, and this roster could shock us all.
I mean, we've already had one APAC roster come in and shock us all, show us what they can do in their debut game, and there's been so many other teams in this year that have had debut games that have shocked me to my core. I think Boom, however, at least of my pickings, was the lowest rated just purely because it was just so green for them.
Unknown quantity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And speaking of green, they're going up against a green wall, so this is the kind of thing that I think in their group overall, they will struggle playstyle-wise as well. I think that's something that they're going to have to manipulate maps. I don't think their playstyle alone is enough to overcome Optic. There needs to be so much more of the macro plays.
These how long players have been with their respective rosters.
Okay.
And like Laz, Crow, you could sort of expect they were on Zeta, and then you also have like Absolute Jupiter way back when. The same with the RX, Vision Strikers beforehand. FNS has been on Envy, and pretty much formed that together we a terrific team. Blaze King, you see the top 4, or like the top 5 or 6, I guess it would be. You kind of go, okay, they're so consistently good at these events that they deserve to stay on their roster. Blaze King, Boom have not really been able to do anything at all up until now. But he's been with that squad almost 800 days. Like pretty much since the game officially came out. Reina just come out, Ascent as a map. That was the new map that just came out. That's how long ago.
So long ago.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
The Sovereign skin.
Back in your day,
Back in my, everything was
6,94 serius.
It's funny that you pointed that out as well, because he said in a post-match interview,
Gua give ke Kira.
I wasn't sure that I was the problem with Boom. I was the one that was on the roster for the longest. We hadn't really won anything, and I'm wondering, am I the problem?
2000
Should
deh.
I change me? Is there something going on? And then he felt a need of responsibility for the team.
Ke Boom.
Longest standing, player in the roster. You have that sort of innate responsibility as a leader, and that shows in so many different forms in plays, whether it's leadership in game, mentality, etc. I want to know what Blaze has to show inside the game, but there might be a lot of things we don't innately see inside the game that he does for the team.
8,000 serius itu ke Optic.
Before we jump into the map, I guess we know there's so much tape on Optic, right? And Boom's been around, right? Especially in their region. But what are going to be the win cons here, right? For Boom against Optic. Obviously, you could look at it, like shut down X player, do this, do that. But what does Boom need to do as a team in order to overcome this very formidable foe?
Well, there's a bit of a curse, isn't there, with Optic, where their first game at every international event we've had so far, they lost against Xerxia. Yeah. Xerxia, they lost in that first best of 3, went to losers bracket. That was back in Reykjavik, which they ended up winning. Then you got to Copenhagen, first opponent Guild. They lost in that series as well. Go down to the losers bracket to play up against
bener. Miracle banget.
From their win just then. I think a lot of it is that prep against Ye. I think Guild back at Copenhagen, they did a phenomenal job of knowing where he plays and what time he rotates off the map on the defense, right? Like Ye holds this angle until like 50 seconds in, then he'll move somewhere else. So we need to keep him there, because if he's there, he's not anywhere else on the map. We can keep him away, and he had his worst performance for the longest time. I don't know if Boom's going to be able to do that, but I think it is approach of know how Optic play, how they want to approach certain aspects of it, and effectively take key members out of the game depending on the map. Like Mav, for example.
Jangan ragu-ragu. Ayo.
Coach brain kicking in here, and I'm like, do they play their own game, or do they counter? What is better for Boom now? I don't know, but whatever they show in map number 1 will give us, the goods as to what their plan is coming into map 1.
Well, I'm so glad you said map 1, because we're ready to do this, bad boy. We've been briefed on both of these squads, but it's now time for the map selection. Let's see what we end up getting out of this. All right, so here we go. Let's see what we're going to get here for both of these teams. And Jess, I mean, I'm looking. It's hard, right? Because Optic is just such a great, map pool overall, but it is apparent Ascent that is going to be going out first here for Boom.
I mean, people will remember the very last time they played Ascent was against Loud, and it didn't necessarily go their way, and it's a little bit of a risk that they don't want to take here, and I don't blame them for wanting to get rid of that one.
Yeah.
I am going to be interested in sort of bans from the side of Boom, picks from the side of Boom as well, and there we go. They're going to pick out the Breeze, and for those who watch them, this is a strongly played map. This is not a map that they avoid, but also something that they've obviously jumped into and gone, this is our best map number 1, our debut map on the international stage will be Breeze, and I don't know how much of a breeze it'll be for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right. I guess we could touch on it because it is the first map, but realistically now, the main pick, I think, for Optic at Copenhagen was Split. That's no longer in the pool, but you have to look at maps like Bind especially, where they were the best Bind team in the world, I think, at this point. When you have wins over XL, You beat DRX, you beat PaperX, FPX. Again, it's all of these X teams. I can't, like, it just seems to be something. And this comes as no surprise. The way that they play the map, the way that you get Ye on Chamber working so well, this is going to be a bit more tough overall, I think, for Boom, who haven't really had that much time of ways to prepare. And they sort of play what Optic play comp-wise, but certainly not to the same level.
I wonder what the decide is going to be. I mean, I always think, you know, if Boom can push it to that third map, because I certainly don't expect them to 2-0 this. I think that would be an incredible upset, one of the biggest upsets in the groups if they do manage to 2-0 this. So let's make that speculation. It hits the third map.
Give
what
us
is the
Pearl,
third
you cowards.
map? I mean, obviously, I would love to see. I don't think Optic brings that out. I really don't. But there's maps like Fracture, for example. There we go, getting rid of it. I mean, not a risk they might want to take, but I wouldn't be surprised if we do get that Fracture. Again, another map that the last time Optic played it, they lost as well.
I think what's quite interesting is that Pearl made it this far, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
Like maybe it would have been something that Optic ban out, but instead they go for the Haven. So you're right, that Fracture is going to be that third map. I guess we weren't expecting Pearl all that much because Broom did come through DLC queue. Yeah. It's more like Optic, you've had so much time to prepare for this map. I'm excited to see what they can do, but unfortunately, at least not today, Optic going to be going for Fracture for that third and deciding map.
There is no way in my mind that Chet sits there and allows Pearl to go through when there is no need against one of the lowest rated teams in the tournament for you to bring out a pocket map and show your strats against a team you don't need to try, quote unquote, try that hard against that we know of yet. I could be I want to be proven wrong. Get in the server, Boom, and prove me wrong. But right now, Optic shouldn't have to try the hard, and they shouldn't have to give up their map secrets at the moment. That's why that Pearl ban, whether it was going to be Boom, whether it was going to be Optic in the next one, that would have been happening no matter what.
I think Pearl's an interesting one overall because, like, teams are going to act indifferent to it. Nobody wants to reveal we actually are going to main pick Pearl. We're really, really good on their layers. It's all right.
They're floating it. They'll float it.
Exactly, right? But I think that this is a typical sort of map pull, like another day in the office, I think, for Optics. It is going to be really hard for Boom overall to keep this, but it was always going to be difficult no matter the map pull.
Yeah, how are we feeling overall, though, for this one, Jesse? You feel like there's an opportunity here, especially on Breeze, for maybe Boom to just catch Optic off guard? It has happened in the past.
It has happened. I think Breeze is an unpredictable maps at certain times. Sometimes, unfortunately, because we're on the side and you think it's going to be a attacking side and things flip. I think having a slow start, as the manager of Optic said in Copenhagen to me outside the hotel, he goes, yeah, we have slow starts, Jess. And I'm like, I know, I've noticed. So don't let it become a curse here. Maybe that's the thing that Boom can really use as the thorn in the side of Optic today.
Yeah, potentially. Well, we'll see, folks. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but when we come back, it's our second match of the day. It's Optic Gaming facing off against Boom Esports. On the other side, we'll see you soon. Welcome back, everyone. Two teams are now ready to make their Champions Istanbul debut. Let's go ahead and meet Optic Gaming and Boom Esports.
Yo, what's up? Akhirnya dimulai juga. Famous dari Boom.
Yay.
Namanya Yay dong. Yay.
Flips Jida.
Flips Jida.
Marved.
Third player kita Blaze King, let's go!
Finesse.
FNS Optic Gaming.
Berserks.
Berserks
Victor.
Victor.
Table 2. Crashies. Meow.
Meow.
Checked.
One, I was really hoping that Meow would fist bump the air. Two, I also think that Meow has won the award for best name pronounced in our walkouts.
Yeah. It felt like the actual sound too.
Yeah, I agree. Because of like meow.
You just hear the
no.
big meow, and instantly all the cats around are just like picking their ears up. We're just gonna have to be overthrown by them in about 5 minutes.
Meow.
Good connection. I didn't put the two together, but that actually works out. So you don't want to say Meow's name out loud when you're outside, or else you might just get attacked by a bunch of cats.
I bet Mimi's well evil cats ever responded. It was like,
Hello?
it's like the Obi-Wan moment of like there's a big disturbance in the Force.
Well, you don't have to worry
Big
because
loud-
we're going looking for pictures with the cats.
That is true. She's found 100 cats already, so.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Anyway, looking at the match, though, as we get ready for this game, just a reminder, folks, if you're just joining us here, Breeze is going to be map 1. That is Boom's pick. Boom have had success.
Yo, let's go Boom. Get
And
wreck.
let's see,
Optic,
though, what
walaupun
ends up
ya
happening
sebenarnya
here.
Optic sangat
Ryan,
kuat
does-
ya.
We keep harping on it because you kind of have to at this point, right? Does Optic
But you know,
start
we can do
happen here in Istanbul, or
Indo
can-
Pride.
they
I know
change
we can do
course?
it. Let's go
That's
Boom.
This, and I noticed it in the EMEA as well, where you mentioned Optic being slow starters.
Yeah.
This was obviously a Boom's map pick. Optic chose to start on attack first.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's a good way to sort of get comfortable. You don't need to worry about like protocols. Who's going to be where? What do we do when this happens? On the attack, it's like, we can be a bit more loose. We can sort of go for these fights, probe a little bit. We can literally warm up to the situation and prep for it. Mech was doing it a lot in the EMEA, is why I mentioned it. So it makes sense Optic here choosing to attack first, just to kind of get it out their system, get comfortable on stage, and then when their defense comes around, they're going to be a lot more alert, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that's really important because the teams themselves, like, you just look at the attacking and defensive sidedness of Optic as a whole, and then you look down at their Breeze stats. I'm like scrolling down and I'm like, sheesh, they got the heavy attacking sidedness when it comes to Breeze. Not a surprise, of course, but for them to start on a comfortable side, as you said, and I love that. Look at the really positive vibes.
Everyone should have a stuffed animal on the
I
stage,
agree.
okay?
I used to have
you
to
don't,
carry
you're
one
savage.
in my luggage for my players back in the day. It was a llama.
Okay.
There
I
you
like-
go. There you go.
And my wife's Peruvian, so that works out. All right, well, let's go ahead and jump into our Prime Gaming Agent Select here and see what we're going to get. Both of these teams do run similar comps on this map, though, Ryan, and maybe we get that here again. Yeah.
Exactly the same. I mean, I don't imagine that either team would cheat.
Yeah, exactly the
It's like the
same.
most common one overall. If you're looking at Boom, if you're looking at win conditions, Famous has had some good performances. So that chamber is incredibly important. He plays a lot of different stuff. You typically see Flipside being on that Sentinel role, but Berserk's Famous, they're going to be the double operators. They're on defense first. Got to keep that economy in hand. If you want the up online, you got to do well. Also, stop first dying, because this is their worst map for it. They go down very early, and they also don't get traded because they're pushing on their own and get caught out.
I mean, on the side of Optic in reverse, you know, you're looking at Victor here on the Jet. I mean, we talk about Ye a lot. Yes, the chamber is going to be ever so important. I know they've got mirror comps here. I know there's power positions on the map upon which you have to be careful of these chamber players. But Victor, we know he was the one that really revolutionized the movement on Neon, for example. This man will be mobile. This man will understand where he needs to pick and prod across the map. And when you start on attack,
it's gonna be hard, but let's go.
Entry. He must get you in and get that space so you get that plan down.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. But now, you know, we're gonna wait for this game to start up here in a moment. Curious to know though, right? Do we potentially go to 3? Can Boom, Ryan make the potential upset happen here? What's your prediction for how this game could play out?
If you're going off curses and trends, sure, but I feel like Optic have got better as the year has gone on to adapt to this. They've seen LCQ, they've watched their opponent, they're going to come in well prepared. The fact that neither team has changed this comp, I think leads more towards Optic. They know this like meta, they run it themselves, and they can change stuff up as they like. So I feel that this is just a real nice test for Boom to see how you do on the international stage, but it doesn't really get harder than this.
No, and I think this is the biggest benchmark you can give yourself as a team. So whatever the benchmark you happen to get, I will say to the viewers of the world who are listening, if they want to win this series, it must happen with Breeze. They must take Breeze. If it goes to map 3, they have a chance, but if they don't win Breeze, I really feel like that is the biggest, you know, Mount Fuji jump and leap that they'll have to climb to be able to overcome that kind of battle, having to battle back in a reverse sweep.
Yeah, imagine the world if we go to fracture map. What kind of a utopia would that be?
Optic could get in their heads. It's happening again. It's happening again. I do really think that like Boom have been really strong, and I'm speaking to people like Benkai as well. Like, he felt that this was a team that it wasn't a surprise to him that they qualified. He also said it's about time we saw an Indonesian team here, because there was 3 in the LCQ as well. So it is one of those areas where I think that like Optic, this is where they should be comfortable, and I think if they want to go for the best run by winning champions, their map pool has to be stellar. No drops anywhere. Yeah,
well, I did ask our amazing production team to go ahead and give me a little predictions graphic, and no surprise. I should have went with Boom just to do it.
No, images that precede unfortunate events.
Yes.
That's the power of it.
There it is right there.
I feel like we just plat chatted ourselves.
We need to
do a little...
Oh, is that what they do after?
There you go. Perfect.
There it is. All right,
now
screen grab that.
Oh, why?
If all goes south, oh my goodness. Are we going to look like we have pie on our faces here?
I will say something that Yinsu constantly points out is every time Optic play and they wear green of some kind, they win.
God, that's just too much.
Win.
Who bought you that watch?
I bought that myself, actually, to be fair. So this is no bias. This is just by coincidence, a mere coincidence. I just happen to wear green today, so.
So we're really leaning into curses here.
Yeah.
We really are. We actually really are.
2 EMEA. It's like, oh yeah, NA are playing? Yeah, NA are gonna win.
NA are gonna win, guys.
Oh wow. I didn't realize that I was just surrounded by bias everywhere I look.
I mean, you gotta play your cards right. I will say, like, another thing about it is like Marved on the KO controller main. Like, that's typically what we sort of see and expect from him overall. But his KO's been really good. I think there's not Fracture, there's another map that he plays. I think maybe like Icebox. He plays a little bit of that, and obviously Brimstone. So he's not only like a world-class controller, he's moving into different roles now just because there's more to gain.
No, my heart will break if he moves from being a controller. Because I keep saying he's one of the best players in the world, and he's one of the best controllers, and all of the best controllers start with M. So if he moves away from this role, how will I sit on the desk and annoy you?
We can't keep doing this. We just can't keep like...
We can't. There are arbitrary connections that will always be made on the desk. That is what we are here to do. I will never let this be lived down, ever. So Marv must stay as a controller.
But you know, though, it does beg, and by the way, for everyone watching at home, obviously, as you can tell, we're doing the art of the Phil. But we're going to be getting into the game, hopefully shortly, which, you know, we'll be very excited to watch our second match of the day. And also, make sure you stay tuned because we have another match coming up after this. It's going to be an exciting one as well. PaperX versus Leviathan, which will be a banger. But, you know, Ryan, in Copenhagen, there was a lot of conversation, right? Marv centering around Ye so much.
Oh, yeah.
And even when he wasn't playing well, it was just like everyone felt like they were just dragging him through the mud. that has to rock the mental a little bit, wouldn't you say?
I mean, I don't think anything can actually rock Mav's mental. He is ice cold for all those things. I think if there's a player that I'm looking at seeing, like, I want to see a little bit more because we know what he can do, it's Crashies. Not because, like, he's had an underperformance. He was one of the best Silvers in the world.
Yeah.
Now that there's not much Silver nowadays, obviously he's on it here, but more Fade, I'm curious to see how he's going to do on that initiating.
All right, well, you know, guys, we have talked so much about curses going into this game, and I couldn't think of two cursed people to commentate the action better than my dear friends, Brennan Sideshow. Have fun, Mustache and Egg.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy and the Desk Crew. Yeah, this is going to be an exciting one. Optic versus Boom. You've got El Diablo versus Egg Diablo in some ways, Josh. And on paper, you might say, you know, this one is going to be relatively one-sided. The Desk has been setting it up in that kind of way.
That is what it says on my paper. It says one-sided game, but that I think there's always the possibility that these kind of things don't work out the way that you're expecting.
And they have in the past for Optic.
It absolutely has, but really, on paper, this is an enormous uphill battle for Boom. It's their first time at an international event. They don't have experienced players even. It's not like, you know, experienced players being put together for the first time. They just haven't faced this level of competition before, except for domestically.
It's a toughie to face off against you in your first international match, but we'll see what they come into here. Victor dashing into the wall to start things off. Bit of an advantage for him. He's not going to be able to cross up any of the crosshair placement, but Spike going to start to get planted now. Players ready and waiting. A swing.
Oh, nice one.
The first one's going to be traded, but the flank being caught there. Blaze King was looking for opportunities, just pushing through. Optic seemingly just cleaning up the stragglers wherever possible.
And FNS staying alive and dealing with that flank allows the Viper wall to still come back up. So this is looking like a great position to play from.
Teleport's ready.
Good crossfire setup as well to be able to deal with somebody like Famous, but they've broken it to some degree. Having said this, Marv is still on the flank through double doors.
Let's try. Let's go.
That's a fairly decent pistol round from Optic. Nothing too fancy, just keeping it simple, playing the fundamentals well. And this map, even though...
Bahkan caster pun udah bilang kayak ini one-sided. Which is, I agree, but
it is.
I mean, you are
I believe
if Victor plays anything like what he's done in the past on Breeze, you're going to see a masterclass on Jet from this guy. It's not an agent that you normally think of associating with Victor, but whenever he plays it on Breeze, he's been dominating.
Does seem to be his playground, as you've already mentioned, but looks like nothing out of the ordinary, honestly. Almost the exact same scenes that we've witnessed from before. You can see the snakebite goes over the top. That's going to clear that one side. The cloudburst as well to cut up a lot of the angles in case they're holding close. The better weaponry. That should be an easy fight to take. Indeed, the players kind of just dropping like flies at this point. Too much more to work with, including that spike planted down. A bit of extra cash in the back pocket, but time now to talk as well about Optic, because in the past, I mean, we just saw it mentioned as well when the scoreboard was brought up, but
Boom.
slow to start at these tournaments. A lot of times, losing as well. These APAC teams in the past, Xerxia, X10, they got knocked out of champs last year by X10 in the groups.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, they're 2 and 3 all time against APAC teams. Having said that, though, those are against the creme de la creme of APAC teams. Boom is that next tier of the teams that are coming up and looking good towards the end of this open circuit system before we get into next year, but they haven't got the same level of scalps. This would be the first big one that Boom would take. And they've done a great job just getting here to start with.
Yeah.
And Optic, I was wondering whether or not they were just going to keep hammering this A exec, but on the bonus round, starting to take things towards B and just bursting in.
Yeah.
Marv building up the null command so early.
Massive ultimate to just try and expend and get right in there, but Famous has already removed 2 of them in this crossfire setup again. See Berserk's just holding that one angle. Make sure that they just mow them all down with the rifles in their hands.
Nice.
Done. There you go, a bit of confidence back. You can hear them screaming across the stadium.
Yeah, and that's Boom with their first round on the board at a global event. There's not going to be a feeling like it, Brent. When you get here and you're just waiting for that first moment of excitement and you realize, yeah, you can beat your opponents. Yeah,
you can go toe-to-toe with the top dogs, these guys who you've seen performing in the finals, winning these big events. And that's what they needed.
That was the bonus round, though, for Optic. Now they've got proper rifles back in their hands. Looks like they're going to go for some kind of A split. Might just be taking mid control, though. See the Viper smoke going down along with a molly to control any push that might be coming out of double doors. As Marv slowly, with the benefit of a knife and a flash, takes elbow control.
Take flight.
Yeah, it's very slow and steady for now. Forcing out that drone from BlazeKing just to get a bit of mid-round information. It is destroyed early, though, so could still be a player lurking up halls. BlazeKing doesn't quite know that, but...
And they've done a good job at the beginning of this round, Optic, to stop any mid-aggression. So Marv has an option here to go for a flank through double doors, but is choosing to reconnect with the rest of his team. And now all 5 Optic players bunched up on A. But without that mid-control, Boomer reluctant to stack the A site. They're still playing a very spread defense.
Now just opting to try and go for a bit of a contact play. That was just spam. Right through the wall, flash over the top as well. Doesn't quite connect. Someone needs to deal with a dart, though. Pushing in between the pyramids. That's Victor. He's claiming these kills. A couple of shockies coming in. Dangerous situation. Dropping a couple of the players down very low. In fact, look at that. Warbang kill straight to the cranium. Famous claims another.
And he got a 3v3 with Victor again, going for the
Oh, nice.
Good
Nice
play
refrag.
by Famous, who's now the sole chamber on the board. And they are worried about that mid flank. Victor is going for it.
Yeah,
he's dead to a single Vandal bullet.
Wall going down, though, that opens him up to a couple more angles. And you're right, Victor, he is low. And now the pressure's on him, honestly, to get stuff done here. But it's not really being watched. Holding it, patience, the discipline.
Not going for it.
Within the shots, though, he was just holding
Nice one, Boom! Oh my god.
And I think there's going to be questions about the way that Victor played that one. I mean, from our POV, it looked like he could have had an opportunity to grab Berserks, and then Famous is weak on the spike.
Yeah.
Not in a position to trade that kill. Of course, Victor's weak at that position, but overall, a good round from Famous. Famous, the new addition, is not even officially a Boom member.
No.
He's on loan right now.
This guy is a sub.
But he has taken over this big fragging role for the team. He actually plays a ton of different agents, the Raze, the KO, the Chamber, the Sova. But it's allowed their IGL, Flipsider, to take a step back. Flipsider used to be a very hard carry player for Boom. And now he's given up some of those responsibilities to Famous, who has just drawn Boom level in the series.
Yeah, I can't emphasize enough how big of a player this guy has been actually coming in for this team.
It's made all the difference in the world.
Yeah.
Selalu main spread ya, Boom.
The last chance call.
Mereka bisa. Which is good. Nice one.
Bit of information going to be gathered there, and a kill on top of it. Why not?
Nice
Making sure
one.
they deal with
Oh my
these
god.
players who are taking many risks on this round, just trying to gather information probably about a lot of these setups.
Very important kill.
What a nice round.
Between BlazeKing and Berserks playing around Nest and Tunnel. So dealt with an anti-eco, and Boom are now really starting to get some momentum underneath them. Crucially in that round though, Brent, there were still 2 Vandals available for Optic. That's Prime Gaming Flawless, but this kill right here onto Ye. If Ye wins that duel, changes the entire round. And Ye had a Vandal. Just didn't quite get it done.
I love the energy that they're coming into this with. You can hear them across the venue, honestly, right down there from the stage all the way up here. Getting the work done, but now guns in the hand of the Optic players, not wasting any time, but a bit of miscoordination. Now it's a flash actually just offset Victor's dash. Again, dropping down the smokes. Now you're starting to see that Hunter's Fury. That's trying to push them back onto the stairs. It's a classic play. You see this one often now on Breeze. It creates enough space that Optic are going to be capitalizing and taking back of the A site.
Yeah, extremely good execute. BlazeKing, though, with one of his kills, now has the Hunter's Fury online of his own. Ooh. And he does catch somebody.
Spike
Crashes,
down
goes
A.
down. Leaves this in a 2v3 with Ye still planting. Perhaps another kill could be found.
Spike planted.
The idea was at the back of Optic's head to try and bait out that ult, but like you said, Josh has left it now into this 2v3 and this slight angle that Victor's playing in right now with the wall up in his face. A little bit inoptimal. He's just trying to take these fights, and the timings obviously doesn't want to peek his head over, but now the wall falls, and there we go. Time to strike.
Oh, okay. Nice one, nice one, nice one, nice one. That's right, that's right.
Post plan by Optic. They now get up to a bunch of their other ults online. Everybody was
Boom did a very nice job.
Ults into that round. Only the Sovas really.
Aimnya Famous, walaupun Famous cuma yang kayak dibilang sama
working this one around the map.
caster ya. Cuma loan ya, pinjaman dari Persija Esport.
Thus far, it feels like
Tapi,
Optic are definitely
oh my
getting their
god.
opportunities to engage into sites and find those kills. The
It's
same
still
thing
Indonesian player
to
though.
some degree from Boom.
You want to play? Let's play.
That's an aggressive play from Famous. Honestly, just running straight down into elbow. Utility to try and supplement it, but I guess just wasn't expecting Victor to just be running it down with the knives.
It's pure confidence from Optic, despite the fact that they lost 3 rounds in a row. And Boom have got a flank coming out of Cave here, but that's a great kill. Flip side of the IGL rips the head off Ye, stops him from getting value, and that deactivates the trademark. Look at these players on the flank,
Push all the way up.
fast.
Yeah, not wasting any time at all. Taking liberties, taking space, taking the fights, taking
Nice!
every single duel at their disposal, and that's a spike drop down. What was looking like a dire start to the round. Managed to turn this one around. The confidence that we've seen time and time again from a lot of these APAC teams, but Victor wants to, again, answer back.
Does he
Obviously,
realize the Viper's here?
smokes off one of the angles. Everything about the timing, and it's
What the hell, nice.
again who comes out.
Very nice play.
Meanwhile, Crashies is miles away. There's 40 seconds to play with here. And Crashies still has a recon. Well, there goes the recon dart.
Just sending that one flying.
I don't know whether that's a lineup.
Yeah, trying to meet the James Webb telescope, I
30
think.
seconds left.
This would be an extremely tough 1v2 for Crashies to deliver. He's nasty in the clutch, though.
Baited out one of the positionings. Now he knows where the player is. Flash to the side. Doesn't quite catch onto his face. Oh, another little...
Oh, nice refrag.
Trade is there at the end of the day, and now we're going to be steadily taking the lead here.
What an important couple of kills from Flipsider in that round. Being able to shut down Ye, and then getting the trade-off towards the end, where it looked almost like Crashies would have been able to turn that into a series of 1v1s. Boom are looking pretty good here. I like the proactivity. Neither team is afraid of the other. So we're seeing these clashes, engagements, both Jets happy to take duels.
Last player standing.
Flash didn't quite work,
Yeah,
but
no,
that
it's a
doesn't
little
matter.
bit off, but listen, the trade was there. That's what matters.
Yeah. It's all about backing up the rest of your team.
This
And
is where you
it's
start to see the timeout as well.
and I think this is a great time for it. Of course, Chet is going to be doing this one from the hotel room, but still that kind of presence in their ear, delivering them some small adjustments, probably getting them to be aware
I'm
of
gonna
some
change the
Boom players.
strategy.
I think when you're Optic in this kind of situation, you almost expect Boom to freeze up. It happens all the time when there's a perceived better opponent that you're playing against. You lack the confidence, you don't go for the same level of risk, and that means that you don't make decisions.
Trouble is, though, Boom have had good mentorship, I think, as well. They've seen that Optic have lost before to a lot of these APAC teams, Ursha and everyone else, and
Yeah.
you know, they've seen that these top juggernauts of North America, top juggernauts of competitive Valorant, they can bleed at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And that's what's been incredibly impressive about
Menarik
Optic.
membaca chat.
They don't look immortal, and yet they still end on the podium, or even winning it when it comes to Reykjavik. But that does mean that you can get a leg up over them early in the tournament. They're self-admittedly slow starters to some of these events. And I think there's some stylistic stuff that plays in there as well. They have struggled against the APAC teams, against the EMEA teams as well. So here we get the Vipers pick coming out, over towards A this time.
That's off the rip.
The rest of Optic using their utility in mid, Marv taking elbow, recon dart towards it. You can see how they're using this utility Optic to stop any mid aggression, but that's not really the area of the map that Boom are playing for.
And this trademark was placed early on in the Viper's pit. And the peace of mind that it gives, I mean, they've only got Victor watching the back side of it, that one angle, but the double face takes him out easily enough.
Yeah, that's a pretty big mistake, isn't it? Just relying too much on the trademark there to give them more info.
Well, I think they knew that that could have been avoided. That's why Victor was watching it.
Sure.
But
Just getting overwhelmed
didn't
by
expect
the
the double
push.
face, yeah.
Now for Optic, they are being given mid completely, so getting some of these A splits together, B splits, seems doable.
You might be about to start to see this explosion onto the side there. Dart into the back. That was shot from the backside of Pyramid. They know there's a player there from default, but the utility being used.
Oh.
Nice reset of the aim there, Blaze King. Almost whiffing that one, but managed to correct.
Oh, nice.
Still Berserks. At the back of the site, locking this one down, anchoring it. Slight jiggle of the movement. Yado. He's going to be claiming another one. The record.
Oh, nice.
Able to bottle just about. Narrowly done. Just down to Crashies now, and he is being swarmed from every single angle.
Oh my
Too
god.
much to overcome.
Yeah, it feels like Optic are just not being able to find these duels, put into uncomfortable situations as well. Boom doing a good job there. Once you remove Victor, Optic are lacking the ability to take areas of the map really proactively and take fast, aggressive duels towards backside. Just kind of got trapped there around the pyramids. I really like the proactivity in A main. I think that's something Optic are going to have to start to deal with. They're focusing a lot on taking away mid control at the beginning, but Boom are fighting for A main. They're fighting for Cave.
Yeah.
There needs to be a focus from Optic over towards there. The adjustments got to come through.
But for now, half by round. Well, not going to get there just yet with a timer pause. I'm assuming something's going on.
Yeah, small tech pause here. But for Boom, this is such a fabulous beginning. You heard the desk talk about how this map pool breaks down, Brent.
Yeah.
And actually, it's, in some sense, is a positive for Boom. Breeze is a map that they're pretty decent at. Bind, I actually quite like the way that they play. Their Fracture looks a bit wobbly to me. But they have two maps that I think they quite like in this 3-map pool.
Sure.
On the other side of things, though, Optic are good at all 3 of these maps. Their Breeze, Victor's been on fire recently, and all of their Breeze maps have gone very well in their direction.
Yeah.
Fracture, they were the team that invented the meta on Fracture in terms of neon comps.
Yeah.
And yeah, they haven't been on top of the world recently, but their Bind literally is, I agree with Ryan, the best in the world right now. Being able to beat, Paper X, be able to beat FPX on that map as well. So you're actually getting a clash of these two teams on familiar territory and comfortable territory, almost for both. And if Boom are able to bring it here on Breeze, that gives you possibilities that they might be able to battle on other maps too.
I think it looks really interesting. Because Bind, I think, listen, Optic, great Bind team. If we go to that map number 2, I'd be assuming, making this up, we'd end up on the map with Fracture. But, as much as we say it is Optic who kind of set the meta a little bit as well with all the neon comps that are being run on that map these days, that's commonplace. And at that point, a lot of teams know how to play around it at this point.
Yes.
To this point, when Optic were dominant and when they were innovating and playing a lot of those neon comps, teams didn't know how to offset it. They didn't know how to work against it. But this is a bit different this time around, later on into the year.
I agree. I agree completely. I mean, Optic were talking about in their press conference after losing Copenhagen that it's really difficult when you make
people keep saying that
to get out the other end and
Boom is the weakest player in this Valorant champions. But something can happen. I mean, kalau kalian lihat OG dulu waktu menang kan nggak ada yang ngarap dia menang sekalipun, like a Cinderella story.
And I mean, that's just Paper X things. And then Bind, you're expecting the comps to stay in the kind of area that they've been. Maybe Optic have something new for us on Fracture. We'll have to wait and see if things do go to a third. But here on Breeze, it feels like Boom have got a great idea of what to do against Optic. The cave aggression is working very nicely.
Yeah.
I think another point too, Brent, is just that these players on Boom are actually winning duels. I think that seems like such a silly point to make when we're at Champions, but when you have teams that have only ever competed domestically going up against some of the best players in the world, the desk, I mean, Jess talking about Marved being potentially the best player in the world. I think he's definitely in the conversation. People have had Ye in there as well. Victor on this map normally goes crazy. If you're able to win duels consistently and keep these guys to like a 1 KD or under, that is...
It goes a long way.
It's a must.
It goes a long way.
And
really
Boom are doing it right now.
Valorant's a shooter game. So you've got to be able to click on the head, as silly as that is to say out loud, but it's step number 1 of the equation. And honestly, from the get-go, felt like when Boom entered
This chat is so toxic lah. I still respect Optic Gaming though. Mereka salah satu tim kuat.
Bring it against one of the top teams in the world.
If you're doing a rundown of the Boom squad as well, in terms of heavy hitters, just for anyone who hasn't watched any Boom games, maybe the APAC schedule doesn't quite line up with when you're awake, but Famous has been brought in on the loan, and he is now a big hitter for this squad.
Oh yeah.
Especially when he's able to play the chamber, or you'll see him on Raze as they go to Bind probably. He's going to be able to have these big moments. But Flipsider as well is another player to really take a look at, because he's got some great fragging. He IGLs for the team, and he's right behind Scream as one of the hardest fragging IGLs we have at Copenhagen. At Champions. He's a top 5 carry player when you look at how many kills and first kills he gets. He just does so much work for this squad. That's why they call him Egg Diablo in APAC. I mean, listen.
Egg Diablo.
Flipsider, we share something. Looking like an egg.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I don't frag as well as Flipsider.
Even an unreal amount of bold people in this broadcast. I mean, I don't know if sometimes I'm looking around the green room and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of light shining in my eyes. But anyway, let's get into the game, back to it. After the tech pause, obviously this is being a half buy for Optic, so the usual play here is, you know, take some liberties with it, try and find out where the defensive setups are leaning towards, trending towards, get some information to work around for the round where you're going to have an economic advantage. That's just the discipline. The crossfire watch down, obviously the rifles favor and Boom there in that fight.
And again, it's A main aggression, right? That's the exact same kind of thing. It's not pushing all the way deep in, but they're fighting the choke points.
Nice one!
At the pyramids. Yeah. And that is going to be something that Optic have to adjust to.
Prime Gaming flawless, let's go.
Come in with a game plan, and it's working perfectly.
Yep, another Prime Gaming flawless. This next round, though, is going to be a large tipping point where the money's now online for Optic.
And that play is all just off the Viper Wall going up. You know, there's a little piece of information there. Viper Wall goes up, or the drone gets used, and that's triggering the swings. Because half the people are going to have utility in their hands, or getting set up to. They assume that the choke point is just free.
But you're now looking at this upcoming round right here. One of the most impactful ones of this first half, I think, because this goes wrong for Optic. It's having different takes, and you can see the mid-aggression. Little flash play around the corner. It's Crashy's dealt with easily enough. FNS now is going to be facing two of these players who are still locking down that one angle. Flipsider having an absolute field day. And again,
what a nice aim, look.
Jules being one out. It's up to Victor to try and make the most of it, but now just Ye left alive. Operator in his hands. Against 3 opponents. Very difficult task, but he's pulled off even stranger things, hasn't he, in the past.
I think this one might be a bit too tough. The crossfire just looks so good.
And that is just a bit of running.
Oh, that's just disrespectful as well.
And at this point, Josh, honestly, we just got to keep reiterating and hitting the point home. Optic Gaming, these slow starts to these tournaments, the kryptonite, which appears to be a lot of these APAC teams. Yeah. This is Boom carrying it away, taking it away from Optic.
But also a gorgeous adjustment from Flipsider. He knows that the Optic timeout is going to give them time to focus on that A aggression. So for this rifle round, they decide this is the first time we're going to push mid. So for the first time in the game, they decide to push mid, leave A main completely, and they catch one player in mid. Normally, there's multiple. You can't get away with that with the way that Optic have been playing their attack sides. But the adjustment is perfectly timed.
Mind games on mind games, isn't it?
Yeah. And Flipsider is currently out IGLing one of the best in the game.
Here we go. It's going to be a B split, though, with a null command. Blaze King caught unaware with a Hunter's Fury as well to try and supplement it. Still holding one angle. It is Victor, though, who takes him out. So 2 players at Boom remaining, and look at the respect that's being showcased here. Even a Viper's Pit being committed.
Spike planted.
Optic haven't even been able to get into a post plant since FNS has had his ult online. So this is almost the first opportunity he's had to use it. And I think in a 4v2 here, seems reasonable to me. You need to start getting these rounds on.
Player standing.
At this point, so you're going to need something a little bit special there. Players just bounding into the walls one after the other. You have to try and trade this one, though. Bit of ADS.
Nice try, nice try, nice try, nice try.
So a couple of upgrades necessary for Optic, and necessary round as well to put on the board to try and salvage this first half.
Some of these trades are looking mighty sloppy for Optic.
Yes,
and it's not the timing, it's actually just the aim. It's strange. These moments where you expect Optic, when you watch them get deep in tournaments, to swing and immediately delete a player, they swing and there's just crouching and spraying going on. It does really feel to be this slow start, but it's only good teams that are able to capitalize on opportunities when they're presented. And that's what Boom are doing. And now Boom have some really good ults to play around. Viper's Pit over in A main. They've got Flipsider with a null command as well to shut down this push as it comes in.
His presence being shown now into double doors. So he's just going to be flooding into that A side, making sure that they take the backside of the control rendezvous away. Blaze King just not quite aware of this one still. The angles, that long sight line watched the rendezvous to get back into the action.
And now
it's going to start to go down now.
Now you've got the ultimate for Flipside. He chose not to use it on a mid push, and so he pops it now for the retake. And these Optic players are getting crunched, and they're about to lose Horse control as well. If Berserks looks to the left.
I mean, this is pretty excellent stuff from FNS so far. He's going to get caught out, but yeah, again, that Horse control that Ye was using. Flipside hasn't been able to get just even any semblance of control to the back of the site because he's dealing with so many of these targets. But now they're fully aware of where each other is. At least the reposition now comes through. The tour de force out in the hands of Ye should be favored in this one. It's blinded for Flipsider. He just takes him out.
What a 1v1 for Flipsider to win. Yeah, he's 16-3 in 1v1s recently. Flipsider is a clutch monster.
That is an 8-4 half for Boom. Unreal scenes from them. Clear preparation that they've come into so far in this map. They are turning up big time.
What a kill.
Handling it, man. Handling it.
And there's the star player, IGL, Egg Diablo, up at the top of the scoreboard.
Yeah, just... See how much it means to them, but still early days in map number 1. Let's send it down to our analyst desk to break down the action thus far.
So far, so good. So far, so good for Boom Esports. What the hell?
Seems like Boom Esports have come out of the gate swinging.
Yeah.
Optic Gaming just simply were not prepared.
Beat them all.
Here comes the Boom.
Here comes the Boom.
That's a saliva
and
song.
And it's the Boomer that came up with it.
That's right. It's the Boomer who came up. I'm cheering on. I wish I could change my prediction, but I'm definitely going to get memed on now. Let's talk about this player that's coming to this team, just famous.
Yep.
He's made quite a name for himself so far in this one.
I mean, the first quarter of that map, it was all famous. And in fact, he's probably made himself rather famous considering the debut that he's been able to propel Boom into on the international stage. A little bit of a fun fact about this man. Back in his previous team, you know, VCT, Indonesia.
Yeah. Walaupun lawan famous, tetap orang Indonesia. Let's go, Indo Pride.
Playing Raze at such a level that the admins asked to look at his computer.
Whoa.
There you go.
Okay.
Unfortunately, there's him dying straight away. But this is something like from watching Boom at their APAC LCQ. This was something that they struggled with. If they lost a player, they ended in a 4 versus 5. They struggled to confirm a round on the back of that. If they lost their player first, they typically lose the round following. So the fact that the rest of the team, even when Famous went down, and this was when he was on fire right at the start of the map, the rest of the team's able to clear up, get into the heads of Optic, and Optic do struggle with that. It's the same sort of thing, having a 5v4 advantage. Sometimes teams like FPX, for example, still manage to get those rounds in and get in their heads.
Let's go, Boom. Show them the power of Indonesian power.
On the defense, a bit more time for Chet to talk about their plan. The advantage is still there for Optic despite the scoreline, I think, because of it.
Yeah, this is certainly going to be an interesting one to see how this plays out. Optic, we're not prepared for this aggression from Boom Esports. Can they keep it up going into this next half as we switch sides and send it back over to your casters to call the action?
The question is
attacking is lebih susah sih sebenarnya. Ya, dari agresifnya agresif permainan Boom sih bisa-bisa aja nih. Let's go.
Boom, I'd love to see them be able to just put their foot in the throat now, honestly, and just grab a pistol here, and it would make all the difference. Starting things out so passively here, Boom. And this is the thing with this APAC squad. They're not crazy aggressive like Paper X, but they're not always super slow as well. Yeah. They do have a range of tempos that they can play with, and they look relatively comfortable playing both. This, quite a slow start, and now moving into a B execute. Can Optic hold on?
Against the side, he's going to be tagging onto two of the players though, Victor. Now the pressure is immense, and this guy is on. Still gets away with 2 kills. Is that 3v3 though? Actually, Victor was traded out, but the players have already swarmed their way in. The wall's going to get dropped down. Ye just holding close to that wall, looking for the right angle, the right approach. Bite into the shock dart, no targets.
Nice try. Almost an attempt. And Optic are now thinking about whether or not these guys have been able to escape from B.
Yeah.
There's only 30 seconds, and Optic are committing now.
You push past this wall, you have to be so careful. But there we go, it's a flash play to try and make it work! But it's Optic who are the ones who are ready for it with 25 seconds left. No more time really to make any more mistakes. Had to push the position there from Blaze. Do they expect this one? It has to be the plan coming through. Is this going to be forcing anything out of them? Pure patience so far from Optic. The spike does go down. Dart close, that's going to be forcing a bit of a wraparound now. BlazeBlink forced to take this fight out. Crashes will win it out with the Ghost. Just up to flip.
Why they always lose on the pistol round?
But again, that discipline. Yeah, just not overstepping himself through main. And
Nice try, nice try, nice try.
He knows if he fails, the teammate's going to be picking up the pieces.
Optic have been in these situations where they're down so many times. FNS has said it. These situations just don't phase them anymore. They still have that mental resilience to be able to fight back in these maps, and the pistol round win is certainly going to help them. We've seen some teams go for 4 spies, especially at Copenhagen after getting a
Kalau dia lebih baik ya.
taking a couple of players.
Smoke awalnya Jet mungkin kurang bagus ke depan ya kayak.
I haven't seen them go for it too much in APAC. But it might be a decent idea at this point. Choosing not to though, keeping the classics on board. And this will draw things level if Optic are able to convert within 2 rounds.
We did say for Optic, honestly, the pistol round winning it would be pretty vital in terms of them being able to get this comeback online. It's a deep knife that's going to be used in A main there on the defensive side, and Halls is still being watched down as well by Victor with the Marshall. Always going to be favoured when he's watching this one. Slight jiggle of the movement. I think he expects it's a bit of a bait play. Yep, it is.
Whoa.
And yet still Victor almost just doesn't quite come out on top. Dropped down to 8 health.
I think that was a headhunter wallbang headshot there. And that did so much damage.
It's going to be put in a bit of a squeeze now as well. He's going to be rotating, positioning. The wall's still going up. Has to dash to the side there. Victor, he is still so low.
Look at this cheeky little pocket that FNS is playing inside of. He loves doing this. He's got a couple of different Viper walls that allow him to play in strange areas.
And his teammate's there to back him up as well, even once he's done.
Nice. Nice try.
That crossfire setup just far too strong.
BlazeKing was doing an interview with Yinsu before the event kicked off. And he said he talked to Forsaken and Mindfreak a little bit about playing at these global events. And Forsaken and Mindfreak, the other Indonesian players that have done so well globally, said, you know, Optic, these guys they're human too. You can beat them. As long as you don't play scared, as long as you play like you do in scrims and tournaments, you can win. I think Boom have definitely demonstrated that in the first half. It's just about maintaining that mentality, even if you go on a bit of a losing streak.
Yeah.
Being able to win the anti-bonus here for Boom would be very important, but they start out at a deficit.
Yeah, and trying to keep that lead going is sometimes one of the more difficult things when you're up against a team like Optic with the experience under their belts. They've been in situations like this before, and they are handling every single opportunity and gap there. Okay.
I'll tell you what, that rendezvous is not very good anymore. The one that Ye is using, he had to extend himself pretty heavily.
Really wide in that angle.
The rendezvous range going down, making that a much riskier play. But he got his and got out.
Victor's just been watching for that one. Okay, the trade is eventually there. In fact, as well, watching for these pushes out. That's Marv going to be at least fallen back. Has to spectate the rest of his team now from the bench.
Yeah, Victor and Marv playing to overflank to try and find these players in mid and take the duels against them.
Just create openings.
He has created an opening, a big old gap on A. And in the retake, you're wondering whether Optic are going to be able to retrieve maybe some guns, some Vandals from somewhere. It looks like Ye's going to make his way towards one, just making sure that the place is clear before he grabs Vandal and upgrades from the Marshal.
Yeah.
But they have no idea where BlazeKing and Tabotal are.
Decent amount of clearing being done by the Boom players. So watching around main, you can see Ye wants to just at least hold that angle for the time being, and now you're going to start to see them take a bit more space, pushing up to double doors and squeezing. It's a dart. It's going to go against the pyramid with Bottle.
Nice.
On that fight that he just took, and he does win it out. With FNS down, this becomes more than winnable. In fact, look at that. Bit of Viper's Pit placing us with the dart a little bit. It has revealed his positioning. He needs a bit of help. This Viper's Pit honestly doesn't quite help him. Tabolo's going to have to swing into this one to try and secure it.
No!
But half of the diffuser stuck down, and trust in their teammates. That's Optic winning out the round.
Nice try.
Very nice play by Optic there, keeping calm under pressure. Crashies is excellent in those kind of situations. And then with Ye to play alongside, it felt like they dealt with that one pretty perfectly.
Cool, calm and collected.
Yeah, cool, calm and collected, absolutely. It's a nice idea to throw the Viper's Pit down and make it possible that you could pop out from a different direction, but it just wasn't close enough to where the spike was.
And it blocked off the sightline that meant that there was no crossfire from bricks to the back of the site.
And now comes the test for Boom. You got out to a hot start. You were 4 up in the first half, and Optic have started to draw.
Okay, pause. Time out. Finally.
The energy is a bit down. Not cheering as much. Can you keep calm and focused even when your opponents start to go on a bit of a streak against you?
And this is where that inexperience gap starts to showcase itself, doesn't it?
Or it certainly can. Yeah. It depends what these players are made of. What advice they're currently getting from their coach as well. I gotta say, it looks drippy.
Yeah. Great name as well. Meow.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a phenomenal name.
Yeah, incredibly fitting for us being in Istanbul, but
and so
where they are going to be looking for answers, honestly.
Yeah, I think these kind of scenarios are where you separate the wheat from the chaff, honestly. And this is where experience does matter.
I'm looking at Famous, sitting at 8 kills. I seem to remember him being on 7 very early on.
Yeah.
3 rounds in. There hasn't really been as much impact from your chamber play on the side of Boom, so...
It's also a bit tougher to get that kind of impact on the attack side. Less because it's making a huge amount of space. And they haven't really been playing, you know, super hard exec kind of styles. They've been more slow-paced at the beginning of the round and then trying to mid-round a lot. Which I think that leans into how FNS likes to play his defenses.
Yeah. A quick burst now into the A site. It's a dash forwards, though. The rest of Boom not quite taking the space just yet. Eventually now making their way through the choke point. I think they were blocked off by the fragments actually that Marv sent through. But the wall's going down, and that's right. The flip side was trying to reposition. It opened himself up to the Optic guns.
Famous is so far away from this action right now. On the latest of late flanks.
He's going to move on right now.
The rest of his team has to buy time.
They're going to know he's there as well, though, because the Trayvon set up, and as the wall goes down, it's all just inopportune timings from top to bottom. Is this really going to be the game plan right now? He's got the setup for it. Famous wants to take a bit of a high ground approach again, just from that mid angle all the way through. Snakebite's dropped down on top of it. Okay, damage is being done, but you're just white-swinging into this one. The utility has a dart stuck in his head. And he needs to try and stop and deny this defuse, but not enough.
Let's try. Let's go, Boom.
So low there.
Emang defense susah, Boom. Defense lagi attack. Attack di breeze. Susah.
They are a bit too well drilled, I think.
That does show, however, that Boom have some post-plant ideas that could get tricky in certain rounds. There wasn't quite enough time on the clock this time. But there was... I mean, just seeing the recall dart stuck in Crashy's head. They had a snake dart combo set up, the snake bite and the shock dart onto the spike plant, and then they also had Famous on that late lurk. He wasn't trying to go double doors, he was trying to get on top of that wall in mid so that he had a sight line. So certainly a set play post plant. And now Boom make their way towards halls.
Crashes with the off.
That's unusual, isn't it? You don't see this very often.
Probably because Ye's got his tour de force, but it allows him to watch down halls with a great amount of accuracy. Still taken out. Eventually, that's going to be that trade. As Famous is opting into the operator himself.
And this is an awkward position for Ye right now. He's stuck at double doors, worried whether somebody could be flanking him from mid, and FNS is the only player ready to support.
Timing is everything here with a snakebite coming through, and there are fights kicking off all over the bloody map. He does take down Blaze King. Spike has been dropped down, and Victor's also just trying to get this flank going. That's clear the trademark. Dash to the side. Oh! The readjustment, the slight readjustment of the movement.
What an outplay!
Still, they have to deal with berserks from on high. And to bottle, guys looking around aimlessly, needs to just handle so many targets.
Oh, that's right. You can do it. Let's go.
Out in the open, a sitting duck.
And this is many rounds in a row now where Boom have been able to get the plant down, but not actually grab kills or space on the map with which to play post plants properly. Optic are allowing them in, baiting them in, and then collapsing on them, and are able to get so much value out of the retakes. Look at that round counter up at the top. 4 out of 5 of the rounds in this half, including the pistol, won by retakes. And that's not anything special, I mean, apart from this. Being able to outplay the trademark spawn in a slow field. But it's more how smart the Syntaxes are being able to just back off and draw utility out of Boom, and then collapse back upon them.
Yeah, it's the clear difference maker right now for Optic. It's really, I think, opening up and prying open those weaknesses that Boom have got in just trying to hold those post-plant scenarios. Seen a couple of times, there's been miscommunication with a Viper Wall going down at the wrong time, a player being caught out of position.
Crashes through a recon dart at the bottom of hall, so he knows that these players are towards mid and B, but he misses his opportunity for an operator kill.
Why is he re-peeking that? Fragment at his feet, but still Victor left onto the high ground angle, and they are dealing with this one. It's that B split. The pressure is there. It's going to be the kill, but again, just enough to watch down every single point of contact. Racing left alive though. He's only on 11 health with the Bulldog. Arm's going to be brought back to life as well into the action. So now just that 1v4.
Only a 1v4.
Yeah.
But this is a mountain of rounds that are starting to pile up on the back of Boom.
It's one after the other. That knife gives great information, forces to swing out of place to make the most out of it. But
that is 6 rounds in a row.
Let's go. Nice play banget dari Optic coy.
It does appear to be that.
6 round dia menang di defense. Emang defense paling enak sih di Breeze.
Aggression was working really well, and then they threw in a bit of a mid play to add that extra layer in there. Now it's Boom that we need to see adjust. Once they get guns back in their hands next round, we need to see, once you get the spike plant down, do you have an extra play? Another little flash that you save to get yourself deeper into the site, or be able to retake that yellow position on A, or do you have a Halls reflank? There's got to be an extra layer here to their post-plant game. And it can't just be sitting back and playing lineups. That's not good enough.
It's just far too static. Here we go, play being made here with an old man popped off. Even the drone that gets info. Push them off of that angle as well. Holding on top of bricks, already taking the back of the site control. We'll see if there's that extra layer of it. A bit of spam back and forth with the Vandals. The positioning is known. Hunter's Fury cuts across there. Is there going to be sort of anything to capitalize? It's a lot of damage at the end of the day. And even the Viper's Pit, it does give them the space to lay that one down.
Oh, nice one.
And I think that's the extra layer that they were
Toaster is broken.
An ult from Blaze King that pushes forwards and attacks the Optic players that had given them that space. You saw FNS playing in that same position he's always been in, back yellow, but this time facing a Hunter's Fury right in his mouth. And that does make a difference because it creates more space for the Boom players to get set up, to be in their post plants and get the Viper's Pit down.
Enough of them surviving as well. They get to carry all of these guns into the next round. Very important for them. And critically as well, they finally get that round on the board.
I gotta say, I wasn't expecting Crashies to be using the operator in so many of these defensive rounds.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have too much of an impact in this one. It's more to do with the Sova on the other side of things. Look at how much that relieves the pressure from the rest of the people playing around Pyramid. Those retakers don't have anybody to work with. Ye loses his trader that might have helped him contest the Viper's Pit. It's just that nice extra layer that we were really looking for.
That was
now the operator's been passed to Victor.
Here,
yeah.
This is more regular.
Large dump of ultimates from Boom Esports into the last round. And you're all right, Josh. They're trading around the operator, so Victor's going to be having it in his hands. That's just a pre-fire angle. They're watching for the dart or a knife that might have come up just over the edge.
Yeah, and actually you've got a double op setup too, with Ye working his tour de force by elbow. Neither of them on A though.
The game, it's going to be that standard play that just comes through. The flash did not quite connect from Marv, but still the gunplay is precise. So it's going to be removed. That's going to be the Blade Storm as well from Victor, just offloaded, and that target gets, again, critical information. Lights them all up. They're aware that the Boom players are trying to work their way through, but look at Tabottle. Guy's an absolute maniac just in the middle of the pyramids. He's doing all sorts of damage.
How did he get 2 kills there? Just running rings around the Optic players.
Live.
And this is a rough retake for Victor with the op. At least Ye has the Vandal he can still work with. But for Victor with the Blade Storm already expended, this is going to be a tough one.
Yeah.
And it feels like Boom have found that extra little piece to the puzzle. The little bit of aggression that they need to stop the Optic players being comfortable in the retake.
Reflank from Famous. Great timing on that one. Still have to deal with Yado at the back of the site, but it's a difficult one because look what's coming. Straight for that spike. Shock darts laid down.
Oh my god, that line up, bro.
Can still would have been the 1 round. That's going to be even up now, 10 to 10. So finally.
Oh my god, I don't care who's win. This is so good. I mean,
and that's what you need to see.
Pertandingannya
Somebody pushing past their
anjing keren
kind of stuff and harassing the players going for the retake. I said that had to be the adaptation that was thrown in, and I think Boom have done a great job at addressing that. it's always easier for us to throw these ideas out there. We see everything that's going on.
We have the complete information.
Flipside is only working with
Technical pause
the
lagi.
info, and that's assuming they're coming well. But I think full credit to Flipsider. He's been calling some excellent game plans and adjustments to keep things level against Optic.
Staring at another tech pause here. Seeing Hyper probably enter the building.
But this is a good start for Boom. You've got to worry in these kind of scenarios where, you know, 6 rounds in a row go on the board for Optic with a Boom just crumble. That's not been the case. No, they're still fighting, still making smart adjustments.
Yeah, it's about, at this point, taking it 1 round at a time and making sure you stop that momentum in its tracks, because sometimes it does get away from you if you are an inexperienced team your first time on the global stage. Like it is for Boom Esports, for these guys. Made their way here, had to go through so much competition in the APAC Last Chance qualifier as well. A lot of people did not expect Boom to be the team that made it here.
Boom didn't expect to be the team that made it here. They said they didn't have high expectations for the APAC LCQ because their scrim results hadn't been very good.
Yeah.
But once Boom got to the other end and they'd had time to integrate Famous really well on his loan, and they were looking at their bracket draw and they saw Optic as the first opponents, they were saying they were confident. They've seen Optic lose before to the APAC teams, and I think that fired them up.
Yeah.
There's a difference between hope that has no logical underpinning to it and an actual belief because you've seen stuff happen before.
Sure.
It's the difference between just blind faith and knowing something deep in your gut, and I think that the Boom players, they really have come into this match knowing that Optic can be beaten and knowing that this is their best time to do it.
In the loop as well, just dealing with a bit of an audio issue on the side of Optic as well. Once we get that sorted, heading back into the action, I'm sure, momentarily. But I'm going to give it a shout out, I think, as well. I mean, we haven't been seeing it as much. I think the latter rounds that we've been witnessing, honestly, have been
always ya. Ada 2 kali nih technical pause dari Optic.
Flipsider has come into this one with quite a lot of prep and good reads, I think. Especially on the initial half, I think, of Breeze.
Gue nggak akan bernegatif thinking. Katanya sih ada audio problem. Ya, siapapun yang menang, gue akan mendukung. Tetap akan mendukung Indonesia. Let's go, Nobar, let's go.
From here, the economy situation is such that there isn't a major swing round for at least another couple. And we're getting towards the end of the map here anyway. It's 10-10, right? So you could easily see a scenario where somebody's able to snowball much more off the ults than they are off the economy as we head towards the latter portion of this map. And in that case, you'd be looking towards Optic. For all the viewers at home,
10 coy, Optic. Oh my god, please menang.
So really big tools to work with.
The biggest tools you could have on the defensive side. Viper's Pit block off one of the choke points and then crashes with his Hunter's Fury to deny one of the plant positions. Can change the course of these rounds so much. But these tech pauses are certainly not going to be helpful, I think, for Optic. As much as they don't get phased by, you know, the high pressure scenarios or the comebacks and stuff, when you have this thing in your head that we always start slow in a tournament, it can be a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Absolutely.
If you realize that you're falling into it, as you would expect here, at 10-10, you know, the more time you have to think about it...
Win or lose, you still in my heart, Indonesian player.
As much as you say out loud, well, you know, it's not quite the case. Might be playing awfully here.
Seberapapun gue pengen keluar dari Indonesia, tapi if Indonesia membawa nama yang baik ke mancanegara, I'll be love you guys.
Guys like Forsaken as well, saying, you know, Optic, they are human at the end of the day. These guys can be beat. If you keep playing like you are in scrims, you can end up usually getting the better of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about usually, because Optic always seem to bounce back, but definitely a possibility. And this is their best chance to do it, Boom. The desk we're talking about, Breeze, it has to be the win for Boom Esports.
Yeah.
I think they've got some decent chances on Bind as well. It's just that Optic are incredible at that map. But thus far, I've been impressed with the game plan, I think, and the overall preparation work too. Boom one of the earliest LCQ teams to qualify for the event. So, you know, we've been talking a little bit about the LCQ teams not having the same level of prep on maps like Pearl or, you know, just in general, heading into the event, looking towards their opponents. But for Boom, it's slightly different. They qualified through the APAC LCQ a couple of weeks, I think.
Yeah, pretty far in advance. They were the first LCQ team to actually qualify for champs, so they've had time to work with, had time to prep as well, and potentially make, you know, Pearl a bit of a pocket pick.
I was surprised it didn't come out, honestly. They were talking the big talk. They were definitely talking the big talk. And if we're thinking about the tournament going on as well, I think it's just interesting that Pearl got floated by Optic.
Yeah, it did, didn't it?
It did, yeah.
Yeah, ended up going all the way into that second round of bans.
All the way towards the second round. And they easily could have been facing Boom picking Pearl into them.
Sure.
And that's something that Optic had to be prepped for, especially with how much Boom were talking about wanting to play Pearl. Optic must have thought that it was a serious possibility.
It's always interesting, I think, as well, when you head into these tournaments and there's a new map in the pool. Happened last year with Fracture, and seeing the different regions approached it. When you see maps like Pearl being played, honestly, that gamble and having the right read on something can give you a huge edge leading into the tournament all the way. If you are one of those teams that, you know, has the correct read early on a new map, it gives you a massive, massive edge.
I know that that's a theory that FNS and Chet buy into heavily. Yeah. When they were talking Copenhagen and even coming into Champions as well, FNS on your screen there was talking a lot about innovating, being ahead of the meta, leading the meta. And it doesn't always have to be on, you know, maps that we all know and love. Sometimes it can be just figuring out a new map before everybody else manages to do it. I think that's one of the things that we should be looking at when we're thinking about innovation. Heading forwards.
Speaking of innovation, we brought the finest and youngest minds to break down this tech pause. Golden Boy, take it away.
Indeed, I am the youngest mind here, without a doubt. But as you can see, guys, we're in a bit of a longer tech pause than usual. So we'll go ahead and kind of like give an update on like where we are, how we feel about this game. Ryan, I'll start with you because you know Optic, they managed to win 6 rounds in a row before Boom were able to respond.
Their defense was really clean, and we didn't really get to see that much of their defense at Copenhagen even. They only had 5 rounds because they were beating DRX so hard. Sorry, Achilles, but like. We just didn't see that side of it, and that was the only time that Optic played Breeze at Copenhagen. So it's nice to see a bit more. It's a bit more developed, but this is kind of like in line with what we were expecting. We saw some potential from Boom, but Optic just have that time, have that experience, and they're using it on their defense.
You know what? I love the conversation I have around Marv, I have around Ye, all of those kind of things, but I've really got to give a platform for Victor. Man, the man must have broken his wrist 6 times with some of the flicks I saw around A. Unbelievable mechanical skill. We don't often get to see him play the jet. The guy's like, oh, don't worry, I'm just jetting every single day of the week. Like, this is what I casually do. I mean, his cloud burst usage to get in and get around, be able to block lines aside. Again, some of these flicks are unreal. I really have to put him on a pedestal right now of being like the player that I'm like, wow, you're really making sure you hold on. And he's not necessarily that usual supportive site anchor. He just happens to be there when the action kicks off.
Yeah, he be jetting real good.
He be jetting good.
That's my soft hitting analysis, folks. All right, well, folks, obviously, as I mentioned before, you know, we have that tech pause on the stage. We're going to go ahead and get that sorted out. But we did have an opportunity to catch up with one of the players from Optic Gaming. It's Crashies on this on-the-spot feature. Let's check it out.
Ye would clap Shroud, no doubt in my mind. Hey guys, Crashies here from Optic Gaming, and I'm on the spot in Copenhagen.
Dress the site. First fight found for Crashies. Quick turn, didn't note anyone toward double doors. Yay! No way! Marked as well!
The teammate most likely to get lost in Copenhagen would probably be Victor, for sure. He would definitely get lost. Most likely to overheat, Marv. Marv is an overheater. He's just saucy. When he's saucing, he just gets a little too saucy sometimes. Yep, too saucy.
Most likely to trash talk on stage.
Oh yeah, FNS is the biggest trash talker on our team for sure. Even on stage, FNS is, you know, even today in our exit series, he was yelling at them, and that's his thing, and it gets him fired up.
1 HP. Finesse on the other side, and no.
Second! Kill me, bro! How are you missing that? Hello? You're 14! How are you missing that?
7
7-0 in rematches. Optic don't lose these, man. They just don't.
Most likely to get matching tattoos.
Me and Victor would get matching tattoos for sure. You know, the duo together would be a cool tattoo. Most likely to take an ego challenge. Either me or Ye. Yeah, me or Ye would take an ego challenge.
Most likely to clap Shroud.
Clap Shroud. Ye for sure. Ye would clap Shroud. No doubt in my mind. Most likely to get tilted would maybe be me or FNS.
You've still got Crashies. 2 nice kills out of him, trying to keep back the push on A. And he gets info to the third. As the fourth thought, yeah, I thought it was going to be there, and he does. He gets it through the shock dart.
Teammate most likely to be the center of attention would probably be Marv. He just starts dancing and just doing his thing. He's from Toronto, so he's a Toronto man. You know how they do it over there.
How do the Toronto men do it?
They just go crazy. They dance and do their thing. I don't know. Unique, very unique. Most likely to spend money on drip would be me, Marv, Victor, FNS. Yeah, the whole team almost. Most likely to sing in the shower, we'll throw FNS in there. He sounds like a singing man to me. He's singing Ed Sheeran for sure. For sure. For sure. Most likely to spend money on gun skins would be Ye. I think he already has every skin in the game, so.
Still being a nuisance. 2 up towards the rafters, and Aspas trying to clear through, but you can see the nuisance this plan is, and Ye won't stop.
Most likely to glass cannon and Odin, that'd be me. That is me. Most likely to lose their Optic chain. This is a good one. I'd go with Victor again. I don't know how he would lose it, but he would just somehow would come off his neck and he wouldn't know where it ended up. So I'd go with Victor. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for supporting Optic as well. We'll keep doing our best to bring you guys the dubs, and thank you for hanging around and answering the questions with us.
Crashies though would look and love to try and turn this one. Oh, what a reset.
That is absolutely fabulous from Crashies.
He's found it for his team, finally the round that they needed.
So folks, we're still dealing with that tech pause, but you know, I just gotta say real fast though, most likely to get lost in Copenhagen was Victor. You're a New Yorker, dog. We don't get lost in the streets. You know, one New Yorker to another. Come on. Also another one, most likely to get drip. I want to ask you guys this, but I think I might know.
Most likely to get HaLu?
Okay, we have to brag. You need a chain. We got to get you a chain, Ryan.
I do. I have a little tortoise. It's made out of tag side, and my girlfriend got me because it's like for safe travel.
Oh, look at the drip. Look at the drip. It's ice cold.
That's
that relationship drip right there, baby.
Ice cold.
That's right.
You got ice in the back. I can't compete. That's it.
I bought myself this chain. It was the first chain I ever bought myself in my entire career. So I'm very happy that I managed to do that. Treat yourself, fools. Anyway, guys, speaking of treating yourself, let's treat ourselves some more. Brennan Sideshow, fellas, take it away.
Let's get back to it then. We will be getting into game momentarily here. 10-10 is the score line. Obviously a bit of a break there with a tech pause and a timeout on the other end of it here for Optic.
Yeah, we get an opportunity to see how these teams are going to perform after that little bit of a break. A mental reset, perhaps? Because you had that 6-round streak from Optic, and then Boom was starting to reply. So now let's check it out. Boom were going for a bit of aggression in their post plan, and Optic had yet to deal with that. But like I talked about, Crashies with the Hunter's Fury, FNS with the Viper's Pit, they have big defensive ultimates to get use out of here. And it looks like from the minimap, Victor wants to push down mid to start.
A bit of a setup with the play being made there. There's going to be a flash down across the ground, even a knife being used. And that Viper's Pit over towards the main choke point. So locking up and taking up a lot of space early on. I mean, look at how far Victor has pushed all the way into the bottom of mid.
Yeah, they've got tons of information right now. Viper's Pit locks off B, they have mid info, Halls info, and 2 players stacked on A. And it's that deadly duo of Ye and Marv, too.
In theory, it should set them up quite nicely. With the Viper wall drop down, though, you can see the smokes being used to try and, again, lock off the areas. Even a deeper flash just to try and make the most of it. But Ye was just holding that one angle down. With the operator in his hand, it is going to be that return. A fire from across the map. The Hunter's Fury, again, lets it rip. And it supplements it one after the other. The Optic Gaming guys, these players finding countless opportunities. More than ready for the push that was coming their way.
One enemy remaining.
That angle just not quite being watched. Not quite being watched at all. That's Yay running away with it.
And that time, a good opportunity to push mid and grab all of that early round info, but also the ultimates coming through huge. FNS doesn't have to worry about the B site particularly because of his ult, and then Crashy's getting huge value out of the Hunter's Fury. There was a 0-point lineup from Flipsider that I think was supposed to hit Yay and missed somehow and just allowed Yay to stay in that position and grab a number of kills with the AWP.
Clear amount.
Yeah, and Yay and Victor are going to double up on the defense. They had Crashies opping earlier, now Yay and Victor both. And Victor's going to take a walk into mid with his AWP.
Yeah, deeper dart as well, which means that's a closer angle that's being watched off. Okay, the flash. That should make him think twice at least.
Not Victor.
But his fight that might be about to take place, you can see Famous is also just locking down the angle. It is everything but information really being given up. And no one holding towards the B side of the map means that, okay, they have to be cautious of the push that comes through.
Little fake.
Yeah, the drone to try and fake that this could be the A push, but the spike is going in a completely different direction. This is risky though.
Unfortunately, the drone got cancelled so early that the Boom guys are not ready to go for the B hit.
Yeah. They really had no space prior to this one as well. It wasn't like they were ready for the setup, but still now going to be starting to work their way in again. The dash up close and personal, but yeah, still not being dealt with. But the pre-aim, crosshair placement not quite exactly where it needed to be. And guess what? Blaze King's also just going to be late lurking over towards the A side. He's pulled Victor and making sure that he has to deal with him. Spike is going to get planted though. It's a fight on two fronts. This battle that takes place, Victor is just going to be evacuating now and trying to play with the retake with the rest of his team. And this late lurk from Blaze King is going to be so important.
If Crashies is able to deal with Berserks, that would be an opener at the least.
The time is of the essence, isn't it?
And he doesn't have a drone, doesn't have a recon dart. They're just going to have to walk into the bottles. Viper's Pit, and he's all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, that just rebounded right off his body, I'm pretty sure. Quick tap onto the spike. Bottle clears it. Nobody's on this one still. Another round of things, just trying to get half onto it. The bottle gets two! One after the other. Lined up for him, and now time. Oh, it's just not on their side, is it? Not in the slightest. It's going to be 11-11.
And when you get these rounds going back and forth like this, the economy is going to be good for the rest of the map. You know, there's only a couple of rounds left here, and no one's close to getting broken. Even with the double ops in play for Optic. And that's Boom with a really cheeky idea there. Going for the fake play on A. We haven't seen either of these teams really run fake so far on Breeze. And then Blaze King stuck around as a lurker. So once Optic figured out it was a fake and started to go towards the B side, they still had a Sova backstab.
Okay.
Yeah, I was happy about that one.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you take those. Kill through the body, you get two? Okay, why not?
He's purring into the mic.
Don't go there. Don't go there. But a deep play from Optic now, taking that mid-control again. In fact, pushing up into elbow, but this time Famous. He does look down the angle. Should be favored in that one every day of the week.
Oh, and Victor's gonna run out of his dash here, just as the rest of the Boom players start coming back into mid.
Super risky, but he feels like he needs to take the fights anyway. Right into their spawn, punished at the end of the day, and that's two players down now for Optic. This is starting to get away from them.
Yeah, it's all beginning to unravel. And for Boom, they can smell the opportunity. But they're not rushing things. Just gathering up, making sure that they get everybody in position, ready to take this 5v3.
It's cautious enough at the end of the day. Angle watch though, and Berserk was so low that he's an easy target once more. Crashies needs to be dealt with, and Blaze can finally will grab that kill. Traded it out, up, down to Marv, and he is miles away. A bit of a vacation on the beach.
Could he get possibly into position to deny the plant here and make things interesting?
How slow Boom are playing this as well.
They don't know where he's coming from. Oh, I mean, that setup. Famous.
Planted.
Holding the window, allowing the plant to go down. And now this looks very difficult for Marv to pull off.
Yeah, they have to suspect this when you can see that one angle with the operator. Famous has got the choke point locked.
And I think Marv is going to end up having to save this. If you look at the credits on board, FNS would have a bit of a funky buy. If Marv can get to the operator, that would be even better.
To save that weapon coming into the next one because it is so important.
Running away down a very long sight line. If anybody tried to
there was no
clear
punish.
elbow.
No punish. I mean, they're showing a tremendous amount of respect to Optic in these rounds as well.
Yeah, it's respect, but they're not afraid to challenge when it's an even situation. But when they're up, they don't allow multiple opportunities for, you know, sloppy behavior to get Optic back into the round. And that's the right way to show respect. They're not scared. I mean, you know, they're flooded into the site here. Blaze King going forwards, taking duels, making sure that they convert. But they're just not allowing themselves to make mistakes, and now they get onto map point. Can they avoid Optic from
match
taking
point,
this
match point, match point, match point?
One more round will do it for Boom. Map win here would be enormous. Entirety of this series moving forwards for them. Step closer. Deep play now into Hawes as well. Bit of a hop around the corner. Famous is watching this angle, but it's honestly this game of chicken, I think, honestly. Who wants to give up the positioning first? Who wants to move off of that one? And slow is the name of the game here for Boom.
Very, very slow. Extremely safe defaulting.
Get out of my way!
That has been the way that Boom have been playing a lot of their attacking rounds. Berserk's popping his knives, but doesn't move forward at all. I mean, that was just a trigger or an audio cue just to see if anything would come out. Time is ticking now. A minute on the clock, and Optic haven't had to do anything. There's been no utility forced out. But likewise, they haven't lost anybody either. You know, Boom have just been able to get this into a 5v5 where they're going to have to just group up and pop into A.
And they're walking right into this stack of the Optic players. 3 of them, including Marv at this close angle. All going to be dropped down. Even that dart, though, it's a bit late when it's being killed, so he is revealed. And
no way!
Rotation, they are trying to evacuate. With 30 seconds left, Josh.
This is the only call from Flipside at all map that I don't think is going to end up paying off. This one, they're going back into the trademark, back into Yay, back into Crashies with a recon dart online. They have 20 seconds left.
And that's that recon over the top, the trademark as well. It's collected it. Still, it's going to get traded, but they have to deal with Crashies at the back of the site. And this guy is a nuisance. A thorn in their sides with the spray down. Blaze King is dealt with. At least the spike's in play, but 3 on board. And the 4th. Well, he's looking for it. Famous. Now, one angle, the operator doesn't quite get the reset. In fact, Crashies, he's going to be offloading that. The Hunter's Fury, they're pushing him up into the angle. It's a Sound Flash. It is chaos and pandemonium. But it gets the job done. That's Optic. They do bring it to that OT.
And after such a good map, where Boom were outplaying Optic and manipulating their defense, finding really good opportunities to break the default, I think they just overcooked it. They just overcooked it in the final round where they could have won the map.
Yeah.
That 30-second pivot, where they had Marv dead to rights, honestly, in that close right position. Just Marv was in a one and done if they decided to commit to the A push. And instead, they back off and go straight into Yay and Crashies.
First round of OT taken now. Both of these teams. For Boom, you're going to be thinking going into this one. We had so many opportunities. We had such a heavy lead early on. At least not over just yet. Optic taking a timeout now as well as we head into the first round of OT.
Optic, time out mulu.
Yeah, Optic are now on the attack side, and one of the big themes, again, I'm going to reiterate, from Boom's defense, was that Boom were pushing Cave. And sure, they had a couple of rounds where they mixed it up, but if I'm FNS thinking about how I want to approach this, I'd either be going for a quick B pop or leaving multiple players over towards A to deal with any kind of A aggression. And it becomes such a heavy mind game once you get into overtime. Are they going to do the same kind of stuff they did in regulation? Are they going to mix it up? What should our strategy be? And FNS has been in these kind of moments many times.
That prior preparation that you come into a map like this with honestly goes out the window to a certain degree.
A lot of it will, for sure. Now, it looks like, from Optic's positioning on the minimap, it's going to be an A split. I don't think it's just going to be mid defaulting, because normally they would have Marv take elbow if they were defaulting mid.
Sure.
This looks to me like A is just supposed to late. That might also, there's a bit of a risk there because Boom were pushing it pretty aggressively, but instead Boom themselves have mixed things up and put both of their contact players, Famous and Berserks, on B.
It's a huge amount of utility that's just dumped into mid to push Victor up into a deeper position.
But those mid players go back over to A, so they get the mid control and they get the cave control. Yeah. It's just now that they have to re-clear cave instead of being on the angles early. but they have everything they need to execute an A-split.
I think Optic were hoping for a bit of prior conditioning with this one. And they've done this typically, it has been that mid-control. You can see the drone was used a bit earlier, but now with the walls, good timing with the knife.
Yeah.
It's going to be suppressing a bunch of the targets and stopping this push that actually comes through, but now they're contacting through.
I do not think Total's going to realize that they're this deep.
And it comes down to this opening engagement, this first fight. Tabottle is being pressured so heavily. Pressed as well, but that dart as well, it broke the crosshair placement and nobody is watching for it. A flash over the forwards and that backside control that was taken, and what?
Oh my god!
The 1-2 combo. Tabottle will not be removed from his perch.
What an awesome round from the A side anchor. Finding that opportunity.
Oh my god, Tabottle.
And caught FNS completely unaware. I really thought Optic were going to try and contact through the wall and get aggressive on back pillar. And they did, but it was the wrong side. They went towards yellow instead of clearing out the common anchor position. And Tabottle was just able to stay there for the whole round.
Yeah, and do some serious damage.
He's got 26 kills so far. And it's another map point for Boom. How many of these do they need before they can convert one and deal the first blow to Optic?
Pride of their region on the line. They can take this map away. It sets them on a beautiful path to try and...
Why are they so good, my brother?
For Boom. Corrections need to be made as they head over to the side that they have been weaker at, honestly, over the course of this map.
Yeah, that's definitely true. And that's the opposite way. You heard Jess talk about it earlier, that Optic are usually formatted. But to be honest, a lot of that just comes down to the team that you're playing against as well. Boom are going to take a timeout, discuss things with Meow, their coach, see what approach they want. I think they had a decent idea in a lot of these rounds, but the final round of regulation, round 24, they were just too static. They took a whole minute before they did anything on the map. I don't think that's going to be a good approach for them. At that point, you're just begging Optic to make a mistake and push into you, and they're a bit too good for that.
A bit too much caution.
I'd like to see Boom try and take at least one area of the map proactively, whether that's shop or whether that's halls, you know, elbow. They need some piece of control of the map before they pump the brakes.
Well, very grouped up for now on this attack side. It looks like they are leaning into that A hit. 3 of the Optic players are going to be watching and holding these angles, including Victor, who's got the operator.
That's not the lineup.
A whiff, yeah, that's not the lineup you were looking for. That's trying to block off the bottom section of halls, but that messing up, it does remove one of the avenues that you would otherwise be threatening from, and that knife is beautiful. 3 targets suppressed.
Yeah, that finds all the important people. The Viper is there, so the wall can't go up. No drone potential, and you know the tip of the spear is there, so it's not a fake.
Angle has caught them out before, Victor. The dash enabled, nothing to stop him, and still Marved. He's making all sorts of plays. Another pop flash into the wall, doesn't want to overstep himself. In fact, it's going to be the repeat, but the timing. Oh, it comes through.
Full blind, and the rest of Boom reluctant to commit through this choke point.
Just left standing stationary.
Oh my god. OT lagi. Reset. Anjing.
They know where Famous' position is. I've just about misses, but he's working with only 100 health. Not ideal weapon for the clutch.
Oh, and that's just the worst way to go. Prime Gaming flawless. Boom need at least one more of these map points to be able to deliver on them. This attack side has just been so difficult for them. We saw it earlier with Zeta Division as well. Yeah. The first match of the day. Similar things occurring, where teams are just finding themselves a bit too easy to be read.
An Optic. Begin again once more, wrangling it back, one round after other, and now the second round of OT in our first map. And already beginning, so the Optic players again going for that same dump of utility. This is going to be signaling that they are going to be trying to at least take that mid-control, but they have been mixing it up enough to create that uncertainty. Boom are not going to be too aware of what's happening. In fact, it's now contacting up through into this Viper's orb. They have got so much space off of this alone, and already the fight being taken, but still, we're not expecting this. Tabottle at the back of yellow, 1-2, why not? Wants to make it the third. Slightly dodging these shot darts that are coming his way. A lot of damage being done to him, brought down to just 45 health, but he has done a significant amount of work, enough to potentially Optic think twice about this one. Missing that shot, recon dart getting broken late, that's going to be revealing a lot of the positioning, but the spike is right out into the open, and still Optic are getting these kills, one after the other. Drops down right to the side of Yellow, the door opening up, Ye watches the back of it.
Oh no!
Wow, that's Optic salvaging the situation, salvaging the round.
That must be an absolute dagger to the gut of Tebatol. He's done such a good job in these rounds. 28 and 20. And he does an incredible job again at stopping that contact push through mid. It was a fake, gorgeously orchestrated by FNS, I think, with him and Crashies throwing down the Viper wall, throwing down the drone to make it look like it was a mid to B. And instead they contact in and meet the brick wall of the Boom Viper and still salvage it.
Yeah. Potentially a heartbreaking into map 1 within our sights. Optic have done a very good job of bringing us back, honestly, when they were at such a big deficit. Over and over and over again, battling against that repeated map point. The disrespect here, Ye. It's pressed up from the knife, still holds down the angle, making sure he doesn't give up any of this defensive positioning.
Yeah, crucially, the 0 point for Flipsider doesn't actually tell you which elevation Ye is on. So he's not worried about being pre-fired. And for Boom, they've slowed things down, but at least they have a portion of the map. That's what I was talking about earlier. At least they've taken elbow control. Unfortunately, their default isn't spread enough to stop any cave push or halls push. And Marved has really good info right now.
Capitalized.
Yeah.
So deep in halls, and he's going to be giving all sorts of information. He's not hearing a thing at this point.
No, and that's why there's 3 players on B. It's the right read for Optic again.
Push coming through. That's going to be a little flash into the back that forces the rendezvous out of him, including that dart onto the backside of things. Crashies though, and Ye still dealing with this onslaught. It's making their way across, and it's up to Famous to see if he can do the damage to bring them back against it. A slight change of the movement, but not enough again. The shots are found, and Ye, this guy, is just dominating the battlefield. Tabottle and Flipside are the 2 players left standing against 4 from Optic, and they've slowed it down with the discipline. Well drilled. That's what the Optic players are. The angle's being watched. Tabottle, though, he does not expect it's Crashies. Still holding it to the side. How are Boom salvaging this?
Oh, another incredible play from the Viper. He gets down the pit as well. Marv just snuck his way in. Didn't get an angle.
Half already. The damage.
Oh my god! That's so good!
As much as Ye is doing for Optic, Tabotol is there for Boom.
Overtime 3? Let's go!
Dragging Boom back into this OT.
You should not be winning in that round, in that scenario. A 2v4 like this, you should not be winning this.
Look what happens when he kills Ye. He doesn't realize there's another player there, and then Crashies makes a footstep. And Tabotol just reacts to it perfectly. Gets the Viper's pit online because he's fracking like a freak. And you can hear the Blaze King doesn't expect it either.
Yeah.
Some players, they just step up at LAN. And it's our 3rd OT, we're going back into it. I mean, we're 10 seconds in already. The pace, thankfully, is slowed down a little bit. But Boom are already pushing cave. This is what they were doing during their defense in regulation. There's a very passive trademark position here from Ye, as the rest of Optic have taken mid. But do they know, do they expect Flipsider and Tabotol to be here?
Just re-clearing a couple of different areas. Just trademark out in the open, of course, but gives them complete knowledge, because FNS knows if this is destroyed.
But look at where FNS is pre-aiming. It's not anywhere near where Tabotol is. FNS doesn't realize they're this deep. He's just going to walk straight into him.
And across their placement, the patience. Ready and waiting, why not?
Oh my god!
One after the other. Tabottle, this guy, he's displaying it all. The mechanical prowess, the game sense, and patience as well when it matters most. 14-14 is the round score, but this guy's playing like he's in a scrim.
And that's what you need. That mentality is exactly what Boom need. Crashies with 1. Can Optic salvage this in a similar way as Boom did prior?
Doors being closed, opened.
No way.
This way, that way.
No way.
And it's absolutely everything to dash around the side.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's a trade.
Optic.
Oh, the whiff from Victor. He should have been able to grab 2, surely there. Just 2 players left for Optic. And it is a sideline lockdown. Crashies is a maniac.
Oh my.
Yeah, Yeah, not even ready to collect the kills if he fell, but it doesn't matter because 4.
Oh my god, this is so intense.
Again, a map point.
Brian, it's another heartbreaker. Tebatol does so well to set them up into a 5v3, and yet they just can't convert even then. What an insane round by Crashies, though. Getting the jump kill there, and then finishing these guys off. Ducking behind the corner every time.
I mean, that's icy.
Look at that
That
pop-off.
is icy. And he's brought it. Again, that map point for Optic. Boom have been so close over and over and over again.
They can't go down like this, surely.
I mean, it's a heartbreaker. And this time you're seeing Hall's aggression pressure. The suppression has to be the trade, and it is there. Yeah, he couldn't vacate the premises. Dash over the top. Taking control now, top yellow. Where's the rest of his team to support? There is the trade online, but the kills are even across the board, and they did not expect that late backstab from Famous.
Spike planted.
The trades have been good here, and Victor's cloudburst.
Oh my god!
Here's it. He just rendezvoused back in time to be able to deal with the flank.
You've got to be kidding me.
And it's all down to Crashies. He worked magic in the previous round.
Oh my god, overtime again?
15-15.
Brandon, if I told you at the
Overtime again?
Switching
Optic
sides.
Boom
Overtime.
was going to go 15-15.
Yeah.
Would you believe me?
Yeah.
No, you
Listen, there's a universe. There's a universe where I would have been like, actually, Josh, I do believe you.
Yeah. The crazy thing is that we have seen these kind of moments from Optic before in the past, but every time you see it, it feels like something bizarre is occurring.
And it is certainly bizarre.
But Boom, and specifically Tebatol, is doing incredibly here.
He's doing the most.
Can he get another big round out?
Just pure spam. Unloading the ammunition. Through his fibers. Oh, it's too much damage. I think Victor just walked into the snake bite. He was vulnerable up.
This is one of the first times that FNS has used his orb like that as well. Usually it goes down on double doors to stop the push. So I think that just became too obvious.
Look at these flanks.
They're so fast.
They're so fast to take this space now. Working their way through. And look at that. The drone cuts up one of the crosshair placements, but Marv was ready and waiting. He knew the Famous are going to come swinging through. But already the spike is down. And pressure is being applied, but the Boom players are dealing with it.
And it's all down to Crashies again. He was in a 1v3 before, now it's a 1v4.
Oh my god!
Not going to be enough. Boom, after rescuing overtime, get their third, fourth map point. Who knows at this point? I've lost count.
But they make it here again. This time,
Switching
they need
sides.
to get over that finish line. They've handled them too many times at this point. Well to deal with.
The amount of times that FNS has been caught out by... FNS is killing a piece of utility, and someone swings at the exact same time. That level of coordination is really impressive from Boom. And a lot of the time, it's Blaze King's util, and someone else swinging upon it. They've got themselves into a funky position by flanking. I love the fact that Boom are willing to take these risks in OT. They're pushing out A main, pushing out B main, taking duels, taking fights. The patience in the prior round from Tebatol to have the crosshair discipline, or the trigger discipline rather. But it's just, they're not scared. No, this is a
Playing
team
with that confidence.
with no expectations and therefore no pressure.
Those teams are the most dangerous, Josh. When you come into a tournament and people are ranking you as the 16th team out of 16 teams coming into a major event. Like
Oh my
this,
god! It's so intense, bro.
the only way is up.
Doki doki. Waku waku.
They were only at the bottom of people's rankings because there's so many good teams. Boom are not a bad team. I mean, with them playing in
Heck yeah,
APAC,
bro.
they actually have some really nice game plans and ideas. I think they're playing up to the stage right now as well. The competition is just so fierce here. FNS knew it too. He was in a press conference after they had, finished third at Copenhagen, and he was talking about how tough the competition was going to be and how he knew that everyone had stepped up, even compared to he was comparing it to last champs, where they went out in groups.
Every single event that we've had, the Masters leading up to this champs, it's just been the quality of teams going up and up and up. Yeah. Board, every region's been leveled up as well, including the region that Boom are from, APAC. It's one of the most competitive regions.
This is gonna be a long game because
who was going to be taking?
I don't know what to say, man.
Qualifier to actually represent APAC as that third team.
And APAC has been on the come up this year. It really feels like that whole region. And I mean, APAC, bigger, APAC major, if you want to say that, so including the Japanese teams and the East Asia teams and that kind of stuff. That whole region's been on the come up this year. They're still the third most decorated region. North America, EMEA, they have more of the wins on the big tournaments, more of the top finishes. But I feel like Champs is APAC's time to fight back. Whether or not it's Boom, whether it's PaperX, whoever it is, DRX's time, whatever. This region feels like they're getting wired up. They're ready for something big.
Well, settle the nerves. We're getting back into this one. Hopefully the last tech pause we'll see in a while. But this is it, map point for Boom.
Yeah.
Teh botol bener-bener carry anjir. Nge-smurf 34 kill.
Do they have what it takes? There's another time that Crashies gets knocked out of his drone. It's happened frequently on attack and defense. Although that one wasn't a reaction from Flipsider, just based on what Crashies has been doing in the prior rounds.
A different way to get into these attack side rounds, forcing that rendezvous back. But Boom, yeah, they've gone for very patient, passive holds with a lot of their attack protocols. This time, it is that early take of mid-control, and it looks like they are clearing their way up. And it's a pre-fire spam, just why not?
Why is Victor not watching?
I mean, an extra element, Victor, you need to turn around here.
He's done a great job, though.
Smokes at his feet, he's going to be surviving for a moment, marked! Shots being whiffed, a bit of missing, going around all over the bloody shop, but still Berserk. Okay, deals with the one, but only 2 players left standing now for Boom. Shock Dust being sent into the back of the site. Narrowly evading it, and with that recon dagger supplemented to help him out, it's all now down to Blaze King. The tip
Oh no!
Wasn't even planted for him in the
Really, man?
16-16, how many more rounds are we going to see?
The last round is always the most difficult to get against top-tier opposition. And this map is a case study. The setup there was so interesting by Optic too. It looked funky with Victor being still sat on top of the pyramid, and he definitely could have got punished, but it's not an area that you're normally pre-firing and pre-aiming. And on top of that, he was trying to hold Marv's back and expecting that to be an A split, when in fact, all of Boom were basically coming through double doors. Kind of wild though, the Victor and Marv both got second bites of the apple and were able to get kills out of
This is the first overtime 5 di VCT ya.
Section of OT rounds that we're witnessing in this map. Wall to try and split across here. It's going to be going to the back of A. That drone does get the tag information gathered now. They know that the players are there. That's a bit of spam. Help supplementing it. Off the back of it, Flipsider. A nice kill to open it.
Very nice drone usage from Blaze King. Once Victor gets tagged there, there's nowhere safe for him to be able to hold. And that is going to be difficult for Optic. In these rounds where Victor dies early, it feels like Optic are really lacking the entry ability, but Marv's given them one. A lot
of traders there from Berserk, so.
Oh my god!
All over the bloody place, man.
It's the same thing again. Flipsider pushing out through cave, and FNS doesn't realize how deep he's gotten. The crosshair placement not quite right, and it's Crashies again in a 1v4. I'm stuck in a time loop.
Yeah, it's just the same.
I'm stuck in a time loop. I agree.
At some point,
oh my god.
Something has to give here, Brent.
Well, a bit of Crashies with 30 seconds. Spike in his back pocket, flash over the top, knows the positioning. Bottle's ready to play.
Oh my god, waku. Bener-bener anjing.
Opportunity. How many times are we going to say it for Boom to take this map away?
Look how nice this drone is. Blaze King comes out, grabs the tag here, and no matter where Victor stands, obviously here he can get punished from double doors, but if he goes back behind the wall, he can get spammed from nest. So it's quite difficult there once you're Victor, just kind of dancing around and trying to stay alive. And FNS has his hands full right now. This has been such a tough map for FNS. I mean, he's 9-23, but so many of his deaths have just been, he doesn't quite know where someone's going to peek from or gets caught with a piece of utility that he's killing.
And what will be the tipping point? Aggressive play for mid-control. Victor's set up on that angle with the operator. There was a flash to help him out there. And Boom decided to take things a bit more slowly once more.
It's a double up defense, and Ye's going to be the first one that they meet.
Downwards, that's a cloudburst though to cut off that one angle. He has to play into the corner. You can see the anti-flash. His back.
And he's just suppressed
onslaught of all these players that are coming their way. This time though, Boom are dealing with it. There will be no Crashies to anchor. Berserks leading the charge for the rest of it.
Oh my god. is this?
Still Victor, operator with the wall going down. He's given a clear sight line to take that shot. Dashes forwards. Breaking positioning, even just pre-firing a bit of spam with the right click. One after the other, but finally.
Oh my god, nice one.
Number one in this series.
It was a long time coming, but Boom finally put the round on the board that they need to get started in this series. What a phenomenal performance. Flipside are calling a phenomenal game, great adjustments, but the star player has to be Tebator, the Viper player, who was so consistent and ended up putting up 38 kills.
7 first bloods, playing Viper. 38 kills, countless rounds.
Just nasty, absolutely nasty.
And I cannot stress enough how important this first map was for Boom to win. Yeah, Breeze of the overall course of this series, we are going to bind as our next map. This is something that should be heavily favored to Optic.
Yeah, even though Boom are a good team, Optic currently look like the best team in the world there. So, attempting to upset them on bind is a whole different beast. But I gotta say, they're making a bit of a believer out of me. This Optic slow start narrative is coming true to some degree again, but I still feel at the end of this map they woke up. We got some big performances, some big rounds out of Crashies and Yay. And Victor's still performing pretty well on the Jet. At the end of the day though, this APAC team, they were looking nasty. And they stayed tough the entire way through.
Every single tournament, Josh, that we have a team where expectations are low.
Oh my god.
Always they end up getting exceeded in some way or form. Whether or not it's the fact that Boom, they've had a bit of time extra to practice. One of the first last chance qualifier teams to actually qualify for champions. It does give them that buffer, that time to improve.
Read it turns out the paper was wrong.
The paper was wrong.
Yeah, one-sided on paper, but who uses paper anymore? We're in a digital age, baby.
This honestly an absurd performance, and you're seeing honestly the makings of potentially an amazing series between both of these teams. That's going to do it for map number 1. Of course, the rest of the series yet to be played. Up next, Bind, don't go anywhere. Our analyst desk is going to be breaking down the action that we've seen, setting us up beautifully for the rest of the series.
Akhirnya.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh, it was a slobber knocker, but Optic Gaming ended up getting Boom. That's right, as Boom walk away 18-16 with the dub on Breeze. Golden Boy here alongside Ryan Central and Just Goat as we break everything down. And I mean, it was just a lot.
Where would you like to begin?
I don't know. I don't know what to do with my hands.
I think when you look at teams like Optic, they win both the pistols, they even win one bonus.
Sure.
The advantage is theirs throughout. And certainly as we got to Optic's defense, we look, okay, they look comfortable, fundamentally strong, winning a lot of those duels. And then Boom, something about them was able to bring it back, able to push through. And that overtime alone, the fact that it went so long benefits Boom more than Optic. You know,
Absolutely.
they get that experience. They have some insane rounds. They have some heartbreakers, as Sideshow was saying. But that experience, those rounds alone, has put Boom back on the map.
Yeah. Boom has bite. They got bite. Not just barking, they biting as well. I know it's a wolf, you know, as their sort of, you know, mascot, their logo there, but damn, they can bite.
I do want to say this though, right? We were in the opening of this game, we were very clear that what they needed to do, they needed to win this Breeze game in order for them to win. But no one had factored in this young man right here.
Look, I got a little funky stat to throw at you. It's not funky, it's actually fun. It is exciting. It is something we can follow. Back in Copenhagen, we had Trex drop 31 kills, kill maximum on a map. Before that, there was another man who held the kill maximum on a map internationally, and it was, ironically, Marved. Back in Reykjavik, he dropped 35. Guess who he snatched it right out of the hands from today? Tabottle comes in, drops 38, currently the highest kill max of any player in an international event on any map so far is Tabottle from one of the lowest rated teams that we have put in this tournament in the world. It is like things you can't put on paper. Like you got like the little like crossing, you're like, whoa, what's gonna happen today on my bingo card? That wasn't it. That wasn't on my bingo card. It certainly wasn't on my bingo card that they go that many overtimes and push Optic to the limit. But that kid is an unreal controller player.
Yeah, and you know, it's very clear, Jess obviously into bingo cards, and we have to go to the bingo hall sometimes.
We
in
do.
the Bronx. I would love to take
I
you.
love bingo. Let's
It'd be
go.
a joy. It'd be a joy.
That's a real boomer thing. I'm so sorry to the Zoomers out there having to listen to this.
But now it's time for our Verizon high-speed moment. And, you know, it had to go to Victor because there were some great moments in that game from Victor, some great plays from him as well, Ryan, this being one of them.
Yeah, for Famous being able to play out, have some of those explosive moments. And physics left a little bit to be desired, but Victor, here's the one. So he finds himself against an operator, stuck in the trademark. He tried to smoke it off.
So many things going on.
And then is able to pull out that kind of move. And it was at a point where it was still equal in score, that Optic had managed to win all of the rounds on their defense so far, to break it through. But speaking of the Jet movement, it was kind of night and day between these two Jets.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, the thing that you really have to look at is the FB and the zero next to it. Not for Victor, but of course for his adversary in Berserks. I mean, you just look at the fact that his first blood percentage was 0. He didn't win a single first
Good God,
blood
is that actually
engagement.
true? Oh, wow.
I like pause for the very dramatic effect of the fact they won a map where their Jet main didn't win a first blood. Victor was pulling them left, right, and center. Of course, there was a big first blood diff, but this just goes to show me that if we can have a Xerxes have quote-unquote a slower first blood, as a Jet, you're expected to engage in those open engagements all the time. But if you can't win them and you still win,
yeah,
I'm just saying, man, this Boom, my bingo card is in fire. I'm putting it into the fire, and I'm just like, let's rewrite it.
Yeah, Tabottle had the most for his team, it was 7, but Ye had the most overall. So, like, again, one of those performances where Optic leave a little bit to be desired, but Ye, again, still strong.
Yeah, and I see we're still lashing on to the bingo card.
We are.
But
not
before
letting it
we
go.
get into map 2, let's actually do some more over-the-shoulder peeking with our aim lab shoot around. We're going to be lurking on Famous. And this, what a great start for Famous. Really showed what was being said in that interview with Brent and Josh earlier about needing a player that was just aggressive in their face. And yeah, Ryan, I really do think Famous has certainly fit that bill for this Boom Esports lineup.
And he's still just a stand-in for this team. Like, I think if you're Boom, the contract is pretty much on the way in, like at this point, because it has been such a difference, and especially at LAN, just seeing players like him and Tabottle, like we've not really been able to see them perform on a stage like this, but they've absolutely risen. It is one of those cases where Optic, we've sort of seen this before, it's common occurrence that they lose that first series.
It is.
The Breeze is the big question mark because we didn't see that much of Optic's Breeze at Copenhagen, but Bind, well, that's a different story entirely.
If they lose by, I've already said, if they win Breeze, they're in the series. They needed to win Breeze. You've already alluded to it before.
That's right.
To be even expected to be in this. But if they win Bind,
well,
you already heard, well, not only do they win the series, but that for me is an insane statement. That is something that the casters brought up before. Brandon Sideshow, they said Bind is the kingdom of Optic. They're one of the best Bind teams in the world. If you win against one of the most formidable opponents you can go up against on their best map, damn, you deserve to win.
The thing about Bind as a fortress is it's been owned by various teams in the past. We look at Fnatic.
Sure.
We look at teams like, obviously, Ascent, the win streak that they went on to get to win champions last year. Like, this isn't a map that you can rely on to hold on to consistently. But saying that, when you have Ye on that chamber, when you have those kind of performances, Victor's still looking strong even on a Jet. He's now over on that Raze. It's going to look better. And it's just been mediocre, I think. Like a couple of series losses in LCQ for Boom. One, I think, was against Bleed. So it's that you look at the teams that Optic have beaten on this map in comparison to Boom. It's again, night and day.
Very true, very true. But, you know, one thing that wasn't night and day was the emotions. I think everyone was very much feeling the pressure in this moment. There was happy moments, there were sad moments. There were a lot of screaming, a lot of let's goes as these players just went through war on Breeze. And Ryan, you know, you can feel it, like every single time they get that big win, it's like, yes, we did it. But, oh man, the lows are low, the highs are high.
But the thing about playing on a stage like this is when those highs are high, if you keep those emotions not in check, it makes those heartbreaking losses hurt even more, which is why it's so good that Boom were able to still pull this through with some of the HaLu rounds that they lost in overtime. And even like round 24, before we even went there, that decision to go for that 30 seconds left, rotate to B, Boom out-boomed themselves at that point, and Optic were given a lead in. So the fact that Boom was still able to go through all of that overtime and still come out on top, this is a team that I'm glad that we get to see them, because I wish that we saw them sooner on this stage, because it seems to suit them.
Yeah.
The worst case scenario, as you already alluded to, Ryan, was the fact that it went to overtime and it gave Boom so many rounds to work out the kinks and how their strategy would work against Optic. That is a worst case scenario for Optic, because going into Bind now, they were undefeated at their last LAN event on Bind. What are they, 13-6, 13-11, 13-9, 13-6?
Yeah.
Are they about to let that record go? Surely not.
No, but map 2 is about to begin. Prime Gaming Agent Select is underway. These teams, you know, play the smokes a little bit differently. Ryan, I think we might end up getting it again. Didn't see it there for Boom, but we'll get it in a moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, so they are going to run the Astra. This is the composition they have run in the past.
Yeah, there's no mirror comp here. It's going to be likely Chamber versus Fade, and then the different controllers, as you mentioned. Blaze King could get a lot of information. He was also really good on the silver with the assists that he got, but the secondary entry is really important to highlight for Blaze King, because it is Boom attacking first. Similar trick to what we saw from Optic. Go into their map pick, attack first, get comfortable, and then go into halftime on that defense, and hopefully you can do the damage there.
I've already pointed out, you know, the Jet diff on Breeze, but when we come onto Bind here, Victor going onto the Raze, I want to remind everyone that when Famous played in, I think it was VCT Indonesian, he was rated the highest rated Raze player for that particular, I mean, he was rated highest duelist, but of course he was maining Raze at the time. So for him to come on to a map where he's going to be on a very big comfort agent for himself, Victor is going to have to not only step up like he did on Breeze, but he's going to have to maybe do a bit of a step further.
I think the player win condition, I think, for Optic is Crashies.
Sure.
Like his Sky, it's so proactive. He's the only initiator on his team in comparison to the Sky and the Fade on the side of Boom. He's going to be the one that's pushing around to get information to support his team, and it'd just be nice to see more of him because he was so good in Copenhagen.
Let's go.
It's a tricky position to pull yourself out of at this spot.
Yeah,
well, map kedua.
Map 2, Bind. This is Optic's playground, but Boom have a great opportunity.
Optic sangat kuat di Bind karena dia di game-game sebelumnya yang di professional match itu menangnya kayak 13-6, 13-0 gitu loh. Like, Boom makin kesulitan sih di map ini.
We're gonna get into this Map number 1 was in the cards, obviously, and now Boom securing that. They're up to a magnificent lead in this, and we are heading into Bind, which, you know, as the desk has been saying, we've been saying as well, Josh, this is the playground of Optic. Yeah. They should be heavily favored heading into this one.
And it's not because Boom are bad on Bind. I think Boom, especially on the defense side, I was very impressed with their finals that they played in APAC LCQ when they beat Onic in order to get here. Their defensive protocols and their setups look really nice, but they're going to be starting on the attack here. And that, I think, is where they're going to be severely tested. Optic are a stellar defensive team, and this is slightly the weaker side for Boom as well. Oh, look at this aggression off the rip.
Yeah, just holding the crossfire for each other. What a way to start off this pistol round. The Prowler's going to be given a decent amount of information, but the kills collected one after the other. He opting for that ghost pickup. 2 kills for him. He actually evacuated as well, and the space was actually taken up. Bit of a vacuum in play, still Famous. Only capable of grabbing the one. Yeah, he's still down to Lamp's position. Left down to that 45 health, and he knows he can hear the footsteps. Bit of patter on top of the wood. Enough to know exactly where Berserk was coming from.
Nice one, nice one. That's right, that's right.
On pistol rounds now that Chamber's been nerfed a bit. Yeah, just buy a ghost.
Just buy a ghost, apparently.
Yeah. Just don't bother about buying Headhunter bullets at all.
Kang was ahead of the meta.
Yeah, we've actually seen a bunch of different Chambers trying this out after the economy changes. And Ye, as part of this big quad push, was able to do so much work on this pistol round.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate because Boom would love to get one of those under their belt.
I think this is honestly, we're going to see that pistol round with the quad push. If there's no players waiting around there, the desk was kind of talking about the composition. Ryan was mentioning it, you know, the fade versus the chamber. You don't have that Sentinel to watch a lot of the flanks. You're going to be susceptible to aggressive takes of a lot of that space, and you're also going to be susceptible to Jägermeister, El Diablo, especially when he's up against 100 health targets with a Marshal in his hands.
He has his tour de force, like if he dies or if he gets this kill. So that's pretty good for a bonus round.
That's quite nice, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not too bad.
And I mean, he's having to work for it. There's no way, Victor.
Oh,
okay.
He's not going to have his tour de force. You should have let him die.
After all that.
You should have let Ye die.
There's a prime game in Flawless.
I mean, Ye could easily play it over a B long and get that ult online. But yeah, Ye was able to get 4 kills on the pistol, and then you want to put a player like this in position to farm the ecos as well. Because that tour de force is going to make a big difference. If he actually can get it up for the bonus, that's devastating to work against.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
It looks like 5 seconds left on the timer, and he's not in position just yet to play for the B orb. He's just running over there right now.
It's going to be a snake bite at his feet, though, if he wants to try and play for this one.
Yeah, and he's not going for it aggressively.
Trailblazer, okay. Pull into this one just in case there is somebody at a slight off angle. Oh, that utility is just being chucked into B long. Prowler, the Trailblazer on top of it. Now their own comes through. Crashies. They know, obviously, it's a heavy presence on that attack side.
Both of these teams are going to have the same approach to the defense. Heavy fighting over B long. Boom have double initiator with which to play both ends of the map. But Optic don't particularly. They have to focus on one part that they fight heavily over, and you can see with Crashy's Ye over here. They want to deny control of this crucial extremity. Ye only has a Marshal. This is only a Marshal right now.
Oh my goodness.
And he only has 28 health.
Yeah, I mean, a tap of the orb almost cost Ye his life there. He was just holding it down, but they were just spamming that one angle, making sure that they could catch it onto a play. Obviously, the heal is in play, so he's brought back up to 100.
There's 30 seconds left here. And Boom have very little map control.
Yeah, there's not enough that's been done, honestly, to even fake. But this could be a possibility of an A hit. And look at this now. Just holding right down up close to them. They can try and drop down. They can try and remove FNS. But 3 kills in a round. Almost an inevitability for them, and indeed it is. That's going to be a bonus round secured for Optic.
And Boom just not coming up with the right game plan there. They got stuck for over a minute trying to take B long control without actually throwing enough utility and enough bodies in to get the players away and set up a split. You simply cannot have a B hit where 5 players are trying to waterfall out of hookah. It just doesn't work at this level at all.
It's just too obvious as well with the util.
Yeah,
and trickling out one after the other.
There's just too many crossfires as well. FNS just mops them up. So now Ye does finally get the finally, it's round 4. He does get the tour de force online. And he's going to be playing B long again.
He is opting into using it as well against his half buy, and there is that pace injected into it. But I'm not scared of just trying to play fast and loose.
Yeah, very fast, extremely quick.
Instance.
And Optic didn't really have a counter to the Viper setup that allowed them to get into lamps.
I will say,
denying the plant well though.
Yeah, there's a lot of utilities already being used for them. Snakebite's trying, vulnerable up, that's famous, just trying to get something done with a shorty in his hands. Not quite. At this point, comes down to that discipline. Just make sure they don't lose anybody, holding these angles. To bottle, how do you get two there? But still, it's better weaponry at the end of the day, and it will be the difference maker.
Ya, emang beda si Optic di map ini ya.
Yeah, that's
Beda banget.
round though. Considering the economic difference between them, Boom found a really fast short push. And this is what I was saying on Breeze. This team, Boom, is not always fast. They're not always slow. We've seen some really slow rounds from Boom where they tick a minute off the clock without doing a thing. And then they'll throw in a round like this where they're booking it down short. Before you realize what's happened, they're all over lamps. They're into the smoke.
Nice switch up.
It is. It's nice the way that they play with pace. Yeah. They just need to find opportunities to do that in gun rounds where they can match Optic in the head-to-head.
That is going to be the round coming up after this. There's a timeout being taken by Boom. Currently 4 rounds down. We knew it was going to be a tough task for them though. You head into bind against Optic.
And you've got an interesting dynamic coming up as well for this economic swing round, right? Boom are getting rifles back online, but they're 1 round away from being back on a thrifty. So Boom have to win this next one. Otherwise, it's going to be a devastating start to bind. And the ultimate situation, very interesting here. You got FNS with the Viper's Pit, and Blaze King on the other side with that Nightfall, which is so good at countering Viper ults. You've also got the Seekers in play. There's just so many different tools that will influence how the coaches are trying to dictate this next round coming up. It's definitely one that you want to be throwing all of your ults into for both teams.
Pivotal one. Timeout's going to start to fade away. Time is up. What is it going to be for Boom? What are they going to be cooking up in that instance with their coach?
They found a very easy avenue into A on the previous round, so Optic are trying to reinforce it with 3 players now.
Is it going to be easy again though? Yeah, he has bought, well, at least the operator, at least from the previous round.
And Victor is Victor's on top of triple, where he can get an angle potentially to look over the top of this Viper wall. So any kind of A pressure will meet resistance.
It's Showers they want to fight over. I mean, Ye feels comfortable here with a rendezvous, but he's got a Trailblazer, a boom bot. Oh my goodness. Absolutely everything being thrown at them. Even the molly and the C's over the top. This is a cacophony of utility. Everything being launched at these players. And you can feel the pressure right now. Just have to scamper to the back of the site.
Yeah, really nice idea from Boom. It's a huge amount of utility being used, but here it comes. Seekers, Nightfall, everything being expended.
One after another, but nice little flick from Ye. The adjustment of the aim, in fact, didn't have to do anything at all. Just running right into his line of sight. One after another, and a spam into the smoke. They know the positioning of these players. They know we're going to be coming from. Oh my goodness.
It looks like it might be too much, but it's again Tiboto, who's done a great job so far.
They get it free here, still crushes from the high ground, or I should say Victor. Not even much of a factor in that round.
Yeah, and it's Boom with a big set play. If you missed what happened at the beginning of that round, they use double drone, the dog, the Trailblazer, and the Boom bot in order to push the Opper away. That's with a suck from the Astra too. So using huge amounts of utility to take Showers control, and then there's a Seize Nade combo for the people who are running away. And that's such a nice set play, but it uses all of your utility, and you're expecting to get a pick out of it. And Optic reacted to it perfectly. They just ran. They just ran away. But they reacted in time, so they avoided any casualties.
So the idea, whether or not that was set up in that prior timeout, just doesn't quite come to fruition here for Boom.
And it is a devastating beginning to bind. I said Boom looked better on their defensive side, but you still need to put up some rounds in this half.
It's so difficult. The more risks you take, the more you're just taking liberties right into the op sight lines that Ye's going to be holding. He's been maneuvering his way around the map as well. It's the way he likes to play this. You never quite know where that setup's going to be. Most of it as well. Maybe the jump peak. Pre-fire with a shot, a bit of spam being exchanged here and there. Look at how safe Marv is playing this.
Yeah, Just going for the... He's going for the kind of straight up and down jiggle peek that ends up with your head getting...
That is
ripped off.
punishable, yeah, I was about to say, that is punishable. I've seen it a couple of times, but Nade slams his way into the back. A triple. Spike goes down to go down, and that's a bit of run and gun action. Stinger, why not? Showstopper now online off the back of the plant, and Victor just could not get out of there in time. He tried to satchel to avoid a lot of the space and movement that was coming his way, but Seeker's going to be broken. FNS now leading the charge for the rest of his team. He does have that rifle in his hand. Even the Trailblazer used, broken early though.
And it feels like these Thrifty rounds have been the most successful attempts for Boom.
Yeah.
Can they hold on? It's only Famous with a Phantom.
Being able to get into that post advance should be favored. Lovely trade from Famous with the rifle. Has to do good work with it. In fact, he's got that nade back online. Even the pull being used to disrupt it, but Crashies is right in their face. And two of the heads ripped clean off. You have to stick this though, and half on it should have it.
With just a second to work with, and the fate
Wow.
of EA. How are they able to recover that one? Another monster round from Crashies. Famous doing a great job of getting in here, recovering a rifle, helping his team. The trade was good, like you said, but Crashies being able to dodge the Seize Nade combo and kill both of those players, Tabotle and Famous.
It's just ridiculous.
And then the faith in Ye.
Yeah,
look
look
at
at
that.
him.
Look at that smile on his face. Look at that smile. He knows Ye's good for it.
Yeah.
Ye,
the percentage
Ye
play.
definitely good for it, by the way. Look at the scoreboard, 13-2.
He's a menace.
He is, in fact, a menace.
You wouldn't think the Chamber's been nerfed. If you looked at it, you wouldn't think it.
No, you wouldn't. And Crashies has another ult online. He's been farming these up so quickly. Oh, and the bait.
It's a bit of a half claim, and they walk into him. And Ye just will not be denied.
El Diablo is feasting tonight.
His area of the map, showers control, locked down entirely.
Found one.
Just not enough spacing. Of course, the collapse brings them all down. There's that pressure, though, that's being applied. Flipside has made its way into Lamps. Collects the one kill onto Crashies, backs away for but a moment.
And Lamps has definitely been an area that Optic are not fighting for super heavily. Boom have realized this. And FNS going for it. Oh, what a perfect timing.
Confidence to try and do that as well when it comes to that 2v2, but he knew he could catch that timing, and he suspects where Blaze King is. He's got a great idea of it.
And for Blaze King, FNS could be inside the teleporter still.
Yeah.
FNS could be in hookah. FNS could be on site.
FNS has played that majestically, hasn't he?
He really has. A lovely
7-0, really?
Get scrappy again. Considering how well Ye did.
Mengerikan memang Optic Gaming di
Another round that's
mau
close,
ini.
but not close enough for Boom. They're still at the deficit.
Just off the mark by 1 or 2 kills.
Yeah.
Just ever so slightly.
Yeah, it's a fraction. And, you know, Jess was making the point on the desk that with Berserk's not... I mean, look at that lineup.
Just moments taken before disaster. Absolute freeze frame.
Marv's body on the floor as well. Just absurd. Jess was making the point that Berserk's wasn't really able to get those first bloods like you're expecting from a Jet on Breeze.
Yeah.
And Boom was still performing really well and we're able to get there. And I think that logic makes a lot of sense. If Berserk's able to have his star impact like we've seen from him in APAC, maybe Boom have even more to give. But that was also, you have to take into account a big, I think, overperformance from Tabotle as well. And you need somebody to be stepping up here. And for Boom, there's been moments from a couple of players, but they just can't string it together all into one round. They've all had their own little flashes of brilliance to bring things down into 1v1s or 2v2s, but not able to put it all together against the might of Optic or Blind.
Most success it seems that Boom have been having when it comes to these fast plays, when they're on the half buys, they're just taking space rapidly, making sure that they trade themselves out.
Yeah, and I think Lamps is definitely an area that's not being contested right now. Most teams on their defense side are going to have protocols for clearing out, you know, when the Viper wall goes up, and actually this is a different one being used right now for Flipsider, but when that normal Viper wall goes up for Lamps control, there's a piece of utility to stop people pushing off the back of it. And instead, Optic are just giving Boom Lamps. And here, Boom take it again immediately.
Push all the way through.
Thank you very much.
Destroyed. Slow fielded on feed, but Boombot actually going to be slightly missing there. That's going to be a seize into that orbital strike, and you have nowhere to run. Flipsider has to just cower in the corner. Rest of Optic going to be rotating. Of course, they're in time. Enough of it's been bought prior in this round.
And if there was any question about whether or not Optic are still looking like the world's best on bind, they are absolutely dealing with everything the Boom are throwing at them. They don't need lamps.
8-0 gila.
Ye just put down his trademark.
Apakah kita akan melihat di fracture adik-adik?
The game as well that I was thinking about when I was looking at these compositions, Josh, hasn't even come to fruition. You haven't even seen aspects of deep lurks happening where they're trying to capitalize off the fact that there's no chamber being around.
No, Optic are not particularly pushing on the defense. Something they used to do all the time against teams that didn't play chamber.
Yeah.
But Boom are playing fast enough in these A hits that that would be pointless.
It leaves no doubt.
Yeah.
There's no doubt to where the push is coming.
Victor, who's having a quiet performance through no fault of his own, has a showstopper online. Just hasn't quite been required yet this map. He's going to be in position to stop any kind of lamps take right now. Boom are focusing on showers. They've done that in a prior round too. And here's a bit of a push. Marv and Victor doubling up.
That's where you're starting to see it happen. Okay, showstopper play. Just doing a bit of team damage, okay? Just trying to get kicked from the server. Double satchel play into the back of the site. No, that snakebite does not do a lot to stop it, and Boom, they dart. Not stopping. This is relentless gameplay at the end of the day. Even when they're handed an early L.
This round has been a pleasure and a delight to watch. And Boom are picking up the pieces. Things got chaotic there.
Yeah, they did.
And Optic, yeah, in the midst of all of that, getting caught out, there was a very fast reaction coming out through showers. And good utility being used as well to re-clear that top short position and blind Marv.
So one of the things that has been impressing me, I think, watching Boom is that they are quick to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
They recognize that there's space available to be taken. From like a deep push, a proactive play by Optic, they will often make moves towards it.
Yeah, I think that's a big difference between them and Zeta Division that we watched earlier.
Yeah.
Zeta also have a lot of slow rounds in their game, but Boom are much more happy to be proactive and take the initiative when opportunities are offered to them, whereas Zeta were struggling in that part. But that's a really good kill. This 2K by Blaze King destroys short. He gets rid of both Victor and Marv, and really crushes the only position that Optic were holding onto on A. Having said that, is this map even doable if Boom win all the rest of the rounds this half?
I mean, it has to be at a minimum, surely.
If they get this to 8-4, and then maybe if they get the pistol as well and get things back to 8-6. But even that seems a long shot.
But again, pace is the name of the game. This time with the weaponry behind them, you might start to see some success. They've cleared a lot of the utility. You have to be watching for Yado. This guy's just standing there. Standing man emoji. Just sitting there now, Trailblazer. Trying to clear the back of the site, but Famous removes it, so causing that uncertainty. And look at where the spike is landed.
Yeah, the spike is going towards FNS.
But FNS seems to be aware, surely. That Prowler watching him!
Wow.
The spray down.
That Prowler finding him perfectly there. Great utility usage out of Blaze King.
Ooh!
And Famous reads the play through the TP.
An attempt at a punish there from Crashies, but Spike's going to get planted. Optic players nowhere to be found, already sitting on the other side of the map, so looking like another round secure, Josh. Well on their way to that 4 that we're saying is a bare minimum.
Yeah, and if I'm Famous here, listen, I don't think using the operator is going to favor Boom, because Boom have been getting value out of the fast hits.
Yeah.
And he's one away from a showstopper. Listen, go hunt. Famous, if that's me, I'm going and trying to find Victor and Marv. Even if you die, you have showstopper online for the next round. I think that'd be the optimal play here. You look at the other ults available as well. A combination of Nightfall Showstopper would be great for cracking open one of these sites. Or at least Nightfall into A, and then use the Showstopper to stop the retake coming through. Something like this. But it is quite a safe, respectful approach, and end, rather, to the round from Boom as they choose to allow Victor and Marv to survive.
That play from Prior.
Bit bizarre. Yeah. I mean, I think Ye must have timed out there. It just doesn't make any sense why he was just staring into a corner with his timeout. And indeed, we do have an Optic timeout, which I don't know whether that's a tag or a technical, but Optic have taken a moment here to breathe, to reset.
still have plenty of buffer in terms of the rounds. You can see 8-2 being the scoreline in map number 2 here. So it has been a steady bit of comeback progress, I suppose, for Boom, where they've got the last 2 rounds underneath them, but still within the possibility, honestly, of Optic just managing to sail away with maybe a 10-2.
That's definitely possible. You think about how well Optic's been able to play on blind. The reason that I'm talking about them being the best team in the world here, they were able to beat FPS, who are a fantastic team on this map. And then also, when they played against PaperX, PaperX didn't even dare run the Yoru against them. They could see it coming. And Optic were able to lay the smackdown on both of those teams that finished at the very, very top of Copenhagen. Optic have definitely got this trump card in their back pocket. But once more, Brent, it's not a map that we've seen a new comp on. And maybe they don't feel like they need to pull them out against Boom. Or maybe they're just happy and content with the comps that we're working.
Yeah. You have a lot of good tools with this composition that you are running, but a bit of presence being shown at Fountain. Yay. Oh, he's creeping. He's crawling up onto the angle now with a tour de force. Has to be aggressive with it. And there's no follow-up, there's no setup. The Trailblazer up close to him. Stunned up. And FNS was just trying to make sure that he could take that aggressive position down into short to get some space and some information to work off in the mid-round. He's also punished in the mix of things. Push through. Don't smoke the traders there instantaneously, though.
Some wild moves coming out from Optic at the end of this half.
Super strange.
Yeah, I mean, they're just taking the most aggressive options every time there's a decision to be made.
Hey,
and Marvs is making it work.
Yeah, wait a second. This guy might just be ice cold in the mix. 1-for-1 with a showstopper exchange, but now up to Blazekin versus Crashies. So good in the clutch. And look at this guy go.
Crashies has simply been monstrously good in these situations. It's like 15-3 or something in 1v1 so far this since since the qualification period for stage 2. He's just been slaughtering people in these kind of late rounds. It's the area that he specializes in, and
nice round, Jimmy. Nice round, Jimmy.
And yeah, they say nice round Jimmy because Marv was the player that made the huge play there. The 3K on site,
it went huge.
Kind of recovered from everyone else making some wonky plays on the rest of the map. And Boom don't have any of those big ultimates to work with in the final round.
Punish being made though, or at least an attempt of it. Now Trailblazer to help supplement. Yeah, he's just tied into this corner. He's got the showstopper. Orbital strike pushes them right into him.
Oh, it's just brutal.
Out of the pan.
Oh, it's brutal.
Into the fire. Double satchel play into their faces, but Crashies is dealing with it quite handedly once more. Moves around. That's going to be a Horn revealing his location, but that blind in the eyes of Tavoddle. Nowhere to run. And the operator in his hands. That's a 10-2 half.
Yeah, that's more what I was expecting for this series, but Breeze certainly threw a spanner into the works.
Yeah.
Boom's defensive side is good, genuinely. Believe me, it's good, but I don't know whether we're even going to be able to see it at this point.
Have they earned enough rounds to even get anything going?
They'd have to win the pistol for us to even get a glimmer as to what their defense looks like.
It just does not look entirely likely, does it? We'll send it down to the analyst. Let's break down what little we've seen this first half so far.
Well, 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 have the turntables. Optic Gaming have managed to walk away in this first half 10-2, but Jess, I think it's safe to say that this segment is going to be all about Yay mid-round.
We don't need any more boomers on the desk, ladies and gentlemen. I'll just leave that there because I think the more exciting thing that we should be looking at... 420 420 Blazer, whatever you want to say, but 420 ACS. The man had what was going into that last round of 4 KD, and if that's not surprising enough for you, the man was multi-kill. Yeah, usually we expect him to get those really powerful operator kills from power positions, hold down certain areas of the map. He was doing that, but watch this round. Look what he does here. We love a good collat. It happens by accident mostly, but then Spidey senses, bang, bang. 180, flick shot, gets his little, you know, nice little, his Yay senses were tingling. It's the kind of kills you expect from a star player like Yay, but the fact that he does it over most of the map is incredible.
next.
Going on to the attack, though, I think the thing that I really like about Ye on this map is that he's not going to be going and pushing like crazy. He's probably going to be the one sat passively. He's just going to wait for defaults. Like, it's going to be Marv, Crashies, who's been amazing in this series as well, and Victor pushing certain areas of the map like showers. Ye's just going to sit back and see if anybody pushes into him. And with there being a fade and the sky on the side of Boom, they might try and be a bit more aggressive. So I just said that the defense is good, but has it played into Ye? Because he's very good at shutting down any form of defensive aggression.
Yeah, it's actually quite a thing when, you know, like with Optic, you have so many weapons on this team, but when they're all clicking like this and then you just have Ye hanging out on the back line, it's dangerous.
One of the best clutches, Crashies. You got Victor's popping off as well, taking room where he needs to. You got Ye. I mean, everyone is on fire at the moment. I bet you Finesse's calls are just prime, so... Whew.
Oh yeah, they must be feeling themselves here. If you're up 10-2, and that is exactly what you're expecting from Optic Gaming, but now it's time to jump back into our next half. Let's send it over to Brennan Saicha, who did not like me saying plays it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It gave me a little chuckle at the end of the day, but 10-2 is the score line. We talked about what they've got to do, Josh, and this pistol round already. Take a look at the minimap.
Yeah.
High risk, high reward plays need to be made.
It's the same pistol that Optic went for. The 4-player stack towards short. And Boom are just going to put this into one big last hurrah.
Yeah, this round is going to be over within 5 seconds, it feels like, because already absolutely into the meat grinder. The players are going to be meeting themselves at the pistols, one after the other. It's down to the 1v1.
It's 10 seconds in. 10 seconds in, and you've got the two IGLs battling against each other. FNS knows this pistol round strat. He knows where Flipside is going to be.
Into spawn using the wall, this slight angle. What's the players? Flipside are just going to bide his time, wait it out, look for a noise cue. FNS is just trying to clear it, and well, guess what? The wrong gamble. Boom, they get that pistol round that they were looking for.
I mean, just mind games on mind games there. They both try the exact same pistol round. It goes down to the 1v1. You got both IGLs, both big brains. FNS looking to try and catch Flipsider out, and Flipsider is just waiting for the tap.
Just holding it.
Just purely playing for the 1v1 retake clutch. It looks too easy for Flipsider, but from FNS's point of view, he really was trying to make an intelligent play there. Okay, I like it. We're gonna get to see a little bit more of Boom here. They've got some things that I think they do very nicely. Flipsider with his classic defensive anchoring here of A. He puts down his Viper Orb on the default spot. So that's doing a lot of decay damage if Optic try to plant in the expected positions.
There's a lot of space being given up to them, though. You can already see the Optic players have worked their way into lamps into the back of the site. That's flashes being used one after the other with the pistols, including that nade. Famous has pushed forwards, but catching FNS unaware, looking like an AI on a singular path, just walking around. 4 kills for Famous, close to that showstopper.
Yeah, still a couple rounds away, but that's exactly what you want to see. Not a tool that you can really rely on for the bonus round. And this kind of has to be a converted bonus. You need to string a series of big rounds together here so that your ultimate your economy snowball turns into an ultimate snowball. That's how you get these comebacks going. But the buy is just not good. I mean, Boom barely have anything to work with. Optic did enough damage to the economy. Boom are hoping for something masterful. Boom's general strategy is to have Flipside a hard anchor A as Viper, meanwhile playing an aggressive B defense. And here you see them go through the teleporter off the back of a haunt.
Yeah, a bit of a showers crunch. Yeah, they do get the 1 kill, but they've given them so much space because of it. A short control given up. Pick up the Viper's Orb, and the plant is down. So
and this is the time where you expect Optic to be pushing backside. And so you see from Tebotol's position, he's worried to even get into backside at all.
Yeah, so far back.
He's holding very passively.
There's no support from the rest of his team. They're all just trying to retake that position from showers and short, but Ye is still locking it down. The pre-fire spam through the wall. It's Blaze King who comes out on top. A quick tap of it. Position and revealed, at least for Crashies right round the side, but they've got more to deal with right now if Boom are trying to convert this one. Oh, quick shot. But targets are found. That's Optic winning out that buy round.
And they win the bonus, or rather win the anti-bonus. But Boom did a lot of damage there. That's an important round.
Trouble is, Josh, not too much in terms of rounds to give up, is it?
No, it's not at all. They're on a knife's edge. They can't even afford to give one, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be perfect from here on out. But this is where, with a slight economic advantage, although it doesn't really materialize into too much, both teams having light armor, Famous needs to be getting
Famous sudah ada
the
ultinya.
showstopper. And Famous is normally going to be playing with Flipsider on A. You can see Blaze King and Spawn literally just ready to go for the rotates. Anywhere they see or hear, Optic looking towards.
That early spam, presence being shown, of course. It has dragged the players back over, and they want to try and go for a bit of a contact re-clear of showers here, but look at the Optic players. They are holding a slight angle, spam into the corner, to the line of sight angle. It's a double face spray down. Famous. Oh, he's getting away with murder.
What a sick play with the Vandal there. Doesn't even need the showstopper, just getting raw value with the bullets. Flipsider, just about able to squeak into lamps. He's going to be the key player.
The Seekers were killed for him, so they don't expect Flipsider to just be playing that angle. Only the one going to be found, an instant trade from Optic. But still, again, slowly creeping across the site, not watching for the potential angles. And it's a beautiful reset of the game for Tabottle to close out that round.
Optic going for the gamble play, contacting in through short, gets caught by Flipsider, contacting around through showers, gets caught by Tabottle. Really good play by Boom on their defense. But this,
how do you do
this
that?
is
How
absurd.
do you do that?
What a play by Famous. And that's actually got a bit of momentum now beneath Boom.
Still a long, long way to go. When you look at the score up top, just 2 rounds, that's all Optic need. We mentioned it over and over again when we were watching that Breeze map. Sometimes those 2 rounds are the hardest. However, Victor's going to be making it just that bit easier.
Yeah, Famous not waiting for the rest of the utility to try to re-clear showers.
Half by as well, Josh.
Yeah, just decides to swing into it. Optic do not win many of these thrifties.
You cannot be giving up this much space to damage. Blaze King does salvage it, gets the trade off, but has to run away. Drop down to 20 health.
Marv was thinking about going for an ult there. And at this point, Berserks becomes an extremely important player. Holding onto Octagon is so important right now. And he just doesn't have a clue that there's 2 in hookah.
He's completely missed them, and he's going to be making a call that, guys, I pushed all the way through Fountain. I haven't found a player. They got to be lurking over towards A.
Can he hear Marved? Does he hear Marved? Not at all!
Catches the correct timing. And the players of Optic, they're already in the site. They've been cautious the entire time. Walking up, not making any sound cues. Little do they know it's a free site for them.
That works. They planted for back site, which is where Blaze King is just about to walk into.
20 health. Bit of spam will do it.
He's going to be 1 HP either way.
Yeah, the decay kicking in now. Snake bite on one side, blocks up. Slide angle, and it reveals it. Feels almost intentional with the way that Viper's Pit is set up. It looks like just about in range to get the highlight on him.
And this would be an incredible Tabottle. Yeah. It just wanders into Marved, and that is a brutal heartbreaker.
You've got to be the most careful of when you're on the half by, when you're up against it. It's so difficult to keep any sort of momentum going.
Yeah, and just a small misplay by Famous, and then Berserks, as Famous tries to... He doesn't even really re-challenge there. He's just trying to dip his head back in to throw a grenade and immediately run away, but he gets punished by Victor. And then Berserks with a misread where Optic were going. And that is the sound of someone who realizes the second map has slipped away from them.
At point for Optic, one more. Get to that critical map number 3.
There are so many good ults here for Boom to use, but even if they expend them all in this round, it doesn't break Optic's economy. So they need to be stingy. It's their only way of mounting a comeback.
Double face though, that's going to be taken out, yay. It's going to be throwing a couple of question marks into the overall game plan of Optic. What do they want to do now? They've lost him, so they're probably going to have to go with a bit of pace now. That's a showstopper right into the players! Victor deals with it! That could have been absolutely massive. And pound for pound, Victor's going to be releasing his own ult. Halfway on a duration, a pull, vulnerable Nightfall on top of it, but just pre-fired into the Viper's Pit. Backed away. No more sound cues for them. They're going to be missing a lot of information into this one, but Marv is still holding the position. Drops the smoke, and he's got the orbital strike in his back pocket.
Difficult to find a timing though when you're playing inside lamps, but he's not getting pressured at all.
Player's going to be pushing forwards. It's going to be a cosmic divide to split it across. You have to push forwards here. Boom! They do have an opening, but is it enough? Down to that 1v1. And time is still going to start to tick now. On the wrong side of the wall, that will do it. The final blow for Victor, and it secures map number 2.
Business as usual for Optic. No celebrations particularly to speak of. That's the job that they came here to do. Bind, 13-5, opponent dismissed, move on to map 3. They're here for bigger things. And for Boom, listen, take a reset. I don't think you were ever winning Bind. Focus on map 3, you still have chances in this series.
That's what we were talking about right at the very beginning of this series, was how this all played out. Breeze was a must-win for Boom, just to try and even bring us at minimum to this map number 3 we are now guaranteed to get.
What a pistol round we saw from both of these two teams. Yay picking off a bunch with the Ghost to start things out, and then a wild, replica almost of the same strat once we flip the halves. But this is exactly the type of experience you need if you're Boom. You get one map where it's all of the adrenaline pumping through your body. You're able to beat one of the best teams in the world on your map selection. And then immediately afterwards, it's the crash down to earth.
Yeah, it's an instantaneous reminder that you're champions playing against the top dogs now. Welcome to the major leagues, because Optic, they've got the experience to be able to brush off a loss in OT in that fashion, many rounds being played, and just immediately go straight into that map number 2.
They've had a micro dose of both ends of the spectrum.
Sure.
They've had the pure joy, and they've had the heartbreak, and now it's all about map 3.
Okay, well, that's going to do it for map number 2, but of course a short break and the setup from our desk of map number 3, that critical fracture map. Don't go anywhere, you're not going to want to miss it.
We will protect our kingdom. 私は見せる。
And it was back to form for Optic Gaming. They win Bind, a map that, as I mentioned before, is their playground, and they win it 13-5 in dominating fashion. Golden Boy here alongside with Ryan Central and Jess as we break down the matchup here, and I think that it's safe to say, like, when when you look at the series overall, and this is obviously going to seem a little bit more on the positive end for Optic, even though we still have plenty more Valorant left to play here.
For sure.
This was the perfect series for Optic Gaming because they realized, like, you know, hey, we're mortals and we can struggle, Breeze, but we're on bind and we're trying.
The body language of the players afterwards is just like, it's done. Like, this is what realistically the series should have been for them, right? Just, okay, we're in clean 2-0, but you're right. Like, it almost benefited Optic to an extent as well to play on Beast to get those nerves out of there overall. But Optic, this is their kingdom, this is their look, and Yay, he's going to be the sort of main pivotal person to focus on. But as people like Sliggy, for example, Thinking Man's Valor, all those analytically driven content creators will tell you, the way that Optic play this map is perfect. And so going down to a nuanced level, you really get to appreciate some of the cool stuff they get to do.
Yeah. It's funny as well because there was another mention of this man by another great analytical content creator mind who happens to also sit on the desk with me at the same. Well, no, almost, but it's Ryan Central who happens to sit on the same desk as me right now. Said Crashies is the man that needs to stand up on this map, and there is a little bit of discourse at the moment on Twitter, and I'm looking around at the moment after the map. There are people who are saying he is the best bind player specifically in the world. Now, of course, we had a little bit of jokes left and right at the last event about, you know, best initiator in the world, etc. You know, a couple of jabs here and there, but he seriously is so incredible. We're talking about playground for Optic on this. I really think this is a playground for Crash.
He's just great in general. You know, I mean, even look at the last series. He also, even though he was the guy that was left in a lot of situations as the last player left alive, hey, Crashies has been having a pretty solid series so far, Ryan.
Yeah, and it's kind of that play that you want to step up a little bit more. Like, we've seen some good Sova overall, but with the Sova nerfs fade coming in, there's a bit more of a lean in that direction. But the fact that he's able to sort of perform on Sky, and just this comp generally, having a Chamber there, having a Sky, it's probably the most common composition, I think, for the teams that use this tournament. The other option is that fade, and, well, just the fade in, you obviously can switch out the controllers, right? That's a bit of a personal preference, but the information, it wasn't really able to be grabbed, I suppose, by Boom. And also, they used both their timeouts in the first half. That's how bad that start was for them. And so there wasn't really a way back in, despite finally picking up a pistol.
Yeah, that's the very thing I was exactly going to bring up, is like they get that one pistol, things look good. Mind you, that pistol, if you guys did miss it, go back. The fact that they read Finesse, like no one reads Finesse. Like, I've got to be honest, there is not a lot of people in the world that can perfectly read Finesse, both in his calling for a team and in his self-movement around the map. The fact that they knew he would be pushing towards spawn and they read that, I think it was Flip was the one to read into that. I was like, that's incredible. So Boom's already into the heads of Optic. They just don't have necessarily the cohesion on bind to be able to execute what it is that they're knowing is coming, and they're not able to weather the storm.
I just think that, you know, anyone, even if you're a Boom fan watching this, you know, back home, like, you kind of had to just factor in, like, this is Optic's home map,
right?
And like, you know, this is like you're playing against the, I don't know, well, I was gonna make a sports or a baseball reference, but
you're in Istanbul, it's where it's not.
Yeah, right.
Everyone in Istanbul is gonna understand the baseball
I was gonna
reference.
say it's like you're playing the Cubs in Chicago, you're wrestling CM Punk in Chicago, but no, instead it's this completely goes over everyone's head here, and I continue to be alone on this desk. But now we move forward, and thank you to our producer Stefan, who said that he is with me. Thank you. But now we move on to Fracture, and funny enough, both teams have had losing outings on this map most recently. But, you know, when you look at who Optic has lost to versus who Boom's lost to, you kind of got to favor Optic a little bit more here.
Sure, I mean, you could elo system it, but even if I did elo system it and I looked at the losses, I spoke about Bind, them being undefeated in Copenhagen on it those 4 times that they played it. I look back at their last LAN appearance on this, they lost dominantly FPX. They lost even more dominantly to PaperX. They lost even more dominantly to DRX. And then only on the first debut time they played Fracture, they won it against Loud to knock them out there. But that was like, that's it. Their last 3 showings on this map, they barely strung together like 5, maybe not even a half worth of rounds. Like, that is not enough if they want to be able to take Boom, who's currently aware, very thoroughly aware, that they can beat the Kings of, you know, I don't think there's enough in the mentality of this for Optic now that they need to turn around and be like, we need to change anything. They have to play a way better Fraction than they've shown us.
I would look at it as well, where both teams run the same comps, or at least they have done in the past, which I think people refer to them as the Optic comp, right? The Victor Neon kind of stuff, being able to put the pressure in. So that's something that Boom have also been going for. I think this is the kind of map that Optic, they want to be as they don't want it to be like Breeze, even if it goes to overtime and they win it, just because they want this map to feel comfortable to them, that they want to go in and have a sort of 13-7 win, which they were on the opposite side up against when they played FPX, right? So it's those kind of moments where, like, this comp, I call the Optic comp because they were one of the first few teams to really start to run it and find success. But it hasn't really been that great on an international stage. Can you beat an international debut at least with it?
Yeah, very true. It is fascinating though how, like, you know, we're getting a lot of these very similar compositions, right? Just goes to show the innovation that Optic Gaming have put forward for the broader global VCT community.
It's kind of cringe though. Kind of cringe comps, aren't they?
Wow.
They are leaning into it,
I
to
didn't
be
understand
fair.
I was here with Ender. I didn't, you know, just say these cringe.
Brutal.
Bit brutal, yeah.
Ender always says the cringe
if
comps.
I talk, I'm in trouble, so I won't have any opinion on that. But what I will say, look, I'm going through all of my stats. I'm like, look, we're talking, you know, a little bit down on Optic. We're saying that maybe this is the Optic comp and whatnot. And I was like, all right, well, what does Boom do on this map? Like, if I just go back to their games, I know they had that, you know, 4-5 overtime against Onyx, you know, as their second last playing of this map. And I was like, how does Berserk do, for example? Like, obviously there was a very slow showing on the Jet on Breeze. I have worries about his ability.
I really didn't get to do anything in map
exactly. I have a really big problem with his first kills, and he does a little bit better on the Neon. So there's promise there.
We could talk about the Neon as well, because one of the things is just how isolated he got. Like, if he's executing on the site with Neon, he'd get stalled out and go through it. And so yeah, like, this is so far looking as you'd expect when it comes to these comps.
Fracture, finally.
Yeah, well, here's your Prime Gaming Agent Select, and you're literally just going to get a mirror comp. Well, actually, yeah, you are. Sorry, my eyes, you know, just age. But yeah, you know, and this is kind of like what happened in map 1, both teams running the same compositions, Jess.
Yep.
Boom, you know, going to this. But yes, I am looking at Berserks because I want to see what he can do here, right?
I think he's a linchpin of this. Like, if Victor's going to be the guy that created how you play Neon, especially on Fracture, and you're going up against the guy that, like, you know, the master, the teacher, everything like that, you need to become like, you need to become the ultimate version of him. You need to outdo a Victor Neon. And I feel like that's really, really hard to do unless Victor's having a bad day at the office.
Yeah, the Padawan must become the Jedi Master here.
Oh my goodness.
One of the things, real quick,
Can't help it.
that that Boom struggled with when they were attacking, because they're attacking first, is any form of defensive aggression. Onyx just kept running at them, kept winning those fights, catching them by surprise. Look at that comp from Optic. That's going to run you down as much as it possibly can, and especially with how comfortable and confident they looked on binds, they want that momentum to keep going onto this map.
Yeah, they're going to have to be smart. They're going to have to take space early against Optic. They can't. I think Brennan Sideshow was saying this about, like, you know, the respect, right? And at some point, Boom's just going to have to disrespect their opponents.
Yes, they have to.
You know what I mean? They just got to cut them and punch them in the mouth, you know?
The funny thing is, Zersha was saying that tournament after tournament, they themselves weren't confident enough to take gunfights. They said a lot of new teams when they come in, or even teams from APAC where they're not used to taking the fights, are feeling not confident enough to engage in it. So if he says, all right, I've just got to go in and do the fight, that's how you'll win. That's how you'll get the upper hand.
All right, well, this is it. One final map to determine who moves on in this group. Let's find out which team is going to be taking their first steps towards the championship. We're going to be sending it back over to Brennan Sideshow.
Thank you very much, Golden Boy. Yep, map number 3 is what we're looking at here. Fracture for Optic versus Boom. It's all come down to this one. We kind of teed it up right at the very beginning of this series as well. And it's an interesting one, honestly, because you're seeing a mirror composition, like the desk has already been talking about, Josh. And it's a thing that Optic, they've kind of set the stage at this one. They've honestly, you know, they've become known for playing these Neon comps in themselves. But I think that comes with some weaknesses as well. It's been a while since Optic were the innovators. It's been a while since they were setting the meta on certain degrees. And the Neon comps, they've been around for a while now. The weaknesses are known to a degree. It does give Boom a bit of an opening.
It gives both teams an opening, I think. I would expect Optic to have a pretty decent advantage here, except for what Jess was talking about, their most recent LAN performances on this map have been fairly disastrous, but that's against top level teams. Look how fast Berserk's
oh my,
are trying to collapse onto these Hall players.
Yep, and they've just pinched them right into Halls here. The follow-up is there from Blaze King. That's a great trade. The positioning was there.
That's a really nice play. Whenever you're doing these A splits, it's so important for the dish players to reactively push.
No time wasted though. A lot of the ammunition just going straight from the pistols with the frenzies in their hands. At the end of the day though, enough bodies there to get a reload off and trade and swing through, even with the plant on top of it. But you're exactly right, Josh, what you were talking about in terms of just taking space aggressively, making sure that you're able to posture the players, the defensive players who are trying to hold Halls in that setup.
Yeah, for Boom on attack, it's all about the reaction. And so as they're taking this fight, you know, and as Flipsider rendezvous away, all of these players that were playing over a dish run in at the back and crunch the Optic guys playing Halls. That is exactly what you want to see. That theme will extend throughout multiple attacking rounds. And now it does look likely that Boom are just going to go into the classic B exec. And it's only really Crashies to receive with a classic in hand.
Yeah, Crashy should know that this is coming, especially with the smokes drop down. Stuns to rip across now. Tower needs to be cleared though. It's a flash to play into this one. Berserk's got to be careful. Bit of raw spam. Why not? And while all this was happening as well, Horse was being pushed out early on by Optic in this round. It's a double face from them, but are they going to have the discipline to clear this one through? Jump peeking in play. It does set up Ye nicely for the kill, but still working with very poor weaponry. However, manages to find himself an upgrade, a pretty good one at that. The Bulldog, can he do some damage with it?
Yeah, any economic damage here is useful, especially getting that Vandal out of the hands of Flipsider,
nice
who does hit the deck, but it's going to get recovered by the rest of his team. And Boom managed to fairly cleanly get a B site hit working. So they're going to have some decent weaponry, a Bulldog, a Vandal at least, to head into this one.
Yeah, the A hit into the B hit there, not really revealing too much of the overall game plan.
It's all been very standard so far from Boom. I think the pistol round was a nice idea I'd like to see more of. Usually you see those reactive pushes coming out from the teams playing double duelist.
Where's this going?
Yeah, this is an interesting one, isn't it? A big Molly lineup here to start from Blaze King.
Right,
and this is part of a fast push. What a lovely lineup.
Yeah, that's going to be punishing any player that just tries to hold on those steps, but that's a fragment nade that's going to be used. Phone line! Crashy should not be favored there, but still, the singular shot that he needed. And a bit of a spray down, even while he's fully blind, locking down Tower.
And he gets a third as well. I mean, Crashy's caught dead to rights. He should have been caught dead to rights.
Yeah, blessed by God, apparently.
Yeah, and Crashy's finds 3, Marv finds 2. That was a huge sight exec. And the anchor held strong perfectly. First bullet. First bullet. And then full blind. He's stunned and he's full blind.
Yeah.
And then he trades out Marv.
The decision making, I think, is quite good there as well. He lays down the fragment nade when he expects to be pressured from behind there in Tower.
Yeah.
Make sure that nobody can swing into him. Buys enough time for the rest of his team to rotate as well.
Yeah, it's smart play. Crashies has always been a LAN player too. You look at his online stats and you might be like, well, is this really a guy who's in the talking for best initiator player? But at LAN, he delivers so many crucial kills. So there's FNS tucked his way from an arcade push underneath.
Gonna be ready for this one. Oh my goodness, the orbital strike does split them up. It's only Berserk who's got themselves onto the site with the rolling thunder, but already the Optic players, they've lined up for it. Oh, so much damage being done. It's the Waddle again who comes up with the kills. Lining up the kill feed. Blaze King with a slight off angle, and he's found his target. Victor just wandering right into the sight lines.
And this is a great post plan for Blaze King. Has the molly, orbital strike, huge tools to work in. But Ye knows where he is. And this flash is going to be for Ye to peek. Oh, doesn't even use it.
Nope.
And that's the molly down. That's the orbital strike gone.
All up to Berserk, taking the fight straight up now. Blinded straight into his eyes, but he avoids it just for but a moment. FNS wins it out. And
what a great retake.
Yeah, even if he went down, it's going to be Ye able to help him out immediately there with the swing.
Just fantastic identification from Optic on where the players would be, and therefore how to pick them apart and force 1v1s. And FNS using Ye as a piece on the chessboard there to go back into halls and just sends Sends his most powerful piece to duel the player with post-plant utility. As soon as Blaze King fell, it was kind of curtains for Berserks. And Optic, even though they looked very business-like on map 2, now you're seeing the smiles, the excitement start to come in.
Yeah.
And I think it's inversely proportional to their expectations. You know, when they think they're massively favored, it's just cool, calm, collected.
Yeah, another day in the office.
When they know they're going to get pushed a little bit, as they're anticipating on Fracture.
And that's why you don't do that peek. We saw Marv doing it on Bind. Easily enough to get punished with just the jump peek. He had the smoke in his hand still. Crashies, this guy has been a nuisance.
He lives in Tower. He was born in Tower, molded by Tower. You will never get Crashies out of that Tower.
Apart from when he wants to wander himself.
Yeah, he can give you it, but you can't take it away from him.
Yeah, listen, the no command has popped off here. They should know he's pushed up here, but look at this Blaze King. He's worked his way all the way around the back.
Yeah, he's got a great lurk timing there. Up through the back as Crashies was focused on Tree. And I spoke, obviously, far too soon.
I like this reposition, though.
Yeah, he takes the ropes.
This is so fast, I don't think they're going to expect this.
Does he get an angle onto Blaze King?
I don't think the players are watching.
The timing.
It's absolutely everything, and somehow El Diablo still gets the better of it. Down to that 1v1, he's forced it into this situation.
He's given away with his positioning.
Sidestepped. Yep, that fault line is going to be revealing it. Flash through the box as well. It's dodged, but time running so low now, and it has to be played just a slight angle, the shoulder peeking through, and it gives Ye every opportunity, all the information to make the right moves.
What a sick play from Ye. That is a nasty clutch. He even managed to dodge the flash that came out too.
Yeah.
Putting Tavotal under so much pressure that he just decided to give away his position with the fault line. Instead, I mean, that's a great shot to start out. But remember that this was a thrifty round, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Boom should not have had too much of an opportunity in that one.
A bit of freedom, I think, to work with, honestly. Crashes did give up tower control very easily. Wanted to hold that crossfire at main, open things up, but
he's back in there now.
Yeah, safe hands from Ye to secure that round, and a steady lead. Precarious, isn't it? Just the one round.
And it feels like, a little like some of the beginning of the bind rounds, where despite the fact Boom are pushing them to the very brink, Optic have been able to secure the final few kills, the clutches, the returns.
Victor's starting to feel it now. Heat being applied to him as well. You can see the players have already dropped themselves down onto side from drop. Has to take a fight, and he's lucky to get the one, but where's Berserk finding these then? Straight through the smoke. Head found, head finesse taken out.
Nade being held, trying to deny the plan, but it's not a default. Berserk's falls, forced out of position. And Marv snacks on Flipsider.
Optic not wasting any time with taking this space, but they realize that there is these post plants that are being played. The orbital strike held down, waiting for the movement. It does force them into the line of sight angle. That's going to be the rolling thunder again. Cuts across.
Is there a molly lineup?
Misses the shot. Off onto the corner. The aftershock to push them away. It's on half, and the molly does miss. Blazekin doesn't realize he's still on it, but now with that spam, he's got the information and a tap. Blazekin, he has to make the play, but 3 bullets, not enough. Doesn't know he's there, running it around in circles. Marv eventually wins it out.
With such little health, Marv is still ice cold there in the clutch. Just playing around, putting the pressure onto Blaze King, making him think that he has to dash towards the spike after it already got halved. If Blaze King had a molly lineup for that position, it could have been a completely different scenario. Maybe he thought he had one and it just missed, but possibly. I don't think from his angle on Dish, there's a great one unless you have a big arcing lineup. And Boom, they're struggling here. They're getting things down to winnable situations, but they just can't close it. They are running down FNS though.
Yeah, you can see that overdrive going to be used now to try and get them deeper into the side damage though. Look at the stinger in play. Yeah, still collects the kill. Victor is in trouble though. He's been isolated. No one's really watching his angle. Okay. Gets away with a couple more right there. Flashes now to try and make a faster play into halls. Actually using the entire kitchen sink just being chucked to them into the back of the sites. It's Optic. We're making sure that they're on no leftover plays, no crumbs whatsoever.
And it feels like the comm structure might be falling down a little bit here for Boom. When Victor finds the first pick onto Berserks, and then you know, you just got Tabotal looking the exact opposite way without
there's
trying to
that
clear it
angle.
out. That to me indicates that the pressure's getting too much.
Bye-bye.
Take a look at the replay here, where he's just able to swing out, and he just finds Tabotal, who's already set up for like a post plant position to stop other people coming through A-Link. Just a little bit of pressure, and that body language says it all.
It's time for a bit of a break. What's going wrong for them? The last few rounds have been so fast where they've been taken.
Yeah.
Opening 10 seconds, you're seeing moves being made, and honestly, the round's just ending almost instantaneously.
They are really struggling to get rid of these site anchors. You think about one of the big execs where they had that long molly lineup, and yet Crashies found 3, Marv found 2, and that was it, the round was over. In some of these other rounds, it's been so difficult to get Crashies out of tower. In that round there, Victor manages to get 2 while he's anchoring the site. You know, there's just so many situations where Boom, if they were cleaner on getting rid of the player that's dug into the site, they might be able to hold off the retake that comes afterwards.
It's 1 or 2 things that are going missing with these pushes, but timeout hopefully going to be correcting it for them to try and get back into this map, maybe bring it even.
It feels like Boom might be thinking a couple of steps ahead and just ignoring what's happening in the present and just getting themselves refocused on every step of their attacking executes is going to be important here. Meanwhile, by the way, Ye in back-to-back maps just absolutely pounding.
Yeah, dominating. I mean, the guy had a slower start to Copenhagen, if you remember, but he turned it around, certainly.
Oh, the playoffs were incredible from Ye.
Yeah, the guy was back in that old form, El Diablo, and this time, not missing a step, is he?
No. Early fault line over towards Halls, but it doesn't stop the Boom guys whatsoever. They fake a little bit of control in that direction, and now the spike's going to be coming back for a B pinch. Victor, though, jiggle peeking. He's going to start to get this info fairly shortly.
Go, go, go.
Have to be concerned, though, if they know the weaponry situation. They're worried, I think, about angles that have been held down. Stuns are just being offloaded. Auto strike as well. Maybe expecting there to be a player there, but it just delays.
So they trade the ultimate for all of that utility that was forced out from Boom.
And they're still trying to make the play, though. Gliding across, that cuts up the angles and it allows for an instantaneous response. Boom are taking all the space in the world and they're winning every single fight.
It's over in an instant. Boom just decided to go for the execute even without all of that utility.
Yeah.
They'd used flashes, they'd used smokes and the fast lane. Decided they didn't need any of it. It would be a better risk to commit to the hit instead of trying to go somewhere else on the map. And boy, were they right.
Yeah, and a bit of a difference maker being the fact that they weren't able to hold that tower control too easily, were they?
Well, also, Optic weren't expecting it. I mean, the re-hit happened so quickly that Optic's players were still hidden inside of smokes and had delayed responses. You know, one player decided to swing and then the other one came out as well. They didn't have a coordinated attempt to stop that re-hit coming through.
That's a pretty good call, I think, on the side of Boom.
Yeah. A
That
nice move
noise.
again from Flipsider.
Yeah.
And if you want to focus on Flipsider a little bit here as well, this is the role that he used to play. Before Famous was brought into the team, Flipsider was the heavy hitter for the squad, who was playing more of the chamber, more of the classic sentinel roles as well. But he's a nasty player.
One enemy remaining.
I think you can tell in this round with that flick onto Crashies, who was putting some pressure from tower. And Flipsider's back in his comfort zone.
Playing a role a bit more comfortable. Steadily gaining the advantages in the rounds, enough to potentially bring this one forwards. But this looks like presence being made now over towards the dish. Fight being taken. Not enough to remove Ye from the angle, though. He collects that first kill, and look at this. While all this was going on, where's Victor got this operator from?
Yeah, Victor ran out arcade and into tunnel with an op. I thought he was going to be ulting, and he's just set up an op on that sight line towards tree.
You just don't expect that. You don't expect that. Especially when presence is being moved over towards A as well. Normally there's going to be a player who's late lurking over towards either arcade, which they already cleared out because they pushed it with 2 players, or B main through that tree area. And if you've got an op on that sight line, it makes it so
early.
difficult. Yeah, it's so early. You don't expect it. And Neon is able to get on that sight line so fast. And he gets it again.
Yep. Victor's everywhere, all around the map right
Why not?
now. Whoa!
Goes for it again. Classic pulled out.
That's a lot of damage.
Not quite a kill. Dropping the gun. Okay, orbital strike to try and push them back. Berserk will eventually fall.
And Marv just seems unflustered, anchoring mid. Blaze King doing what he can. Current top frag of Boom.
Yeah, this guy has been...
But he's in a 1v4.
30 seconds left.
Quite a heavy hitter for his team in this map so far, hasn't he? But like you said, Josh, this particular scenario, now a 1v3. They know his position and 20 seconds remaining in the round. Not a lot of time to work with.
And he's already used that orbital strike that he had access to earlier. It's a big tool. And he could go for it. He's got the funds. He just doesn't see an opportunity that makes sense.
Yeah, just Optic to save.
Yeah, he's just going to save. And Optic start to tick these rounds further and further onto the board. What a play. Okay. Just stay very still. Just stay very still.
Yeah, okay, ice cold. Make no noise.
I'll tell you what though, the adaptations from Optic that we've seen in this series, look, there's the operator being picked up and he goes for it and sets up on this line. These adaptations are less to do with the compositions for Optic and more to do with the micro of like what they're doing within the rounds. They're doing unexpected stuff. You remember Crashies was opping on Breeze,
yeah,
and now Victor's doing it here. Maybe the adaptation and innovation is going to be smaller.
Rather than big compositional changes, but another fight taking place. And again, no one's really locking down at one angle. It's a crossfire, a spam through the wall. FNS, warbang kills, a bound. Flip side though, he's eventually going to return. That's a nice trade. With FNS gone, they're not going to have that utility to push them back. Bit of noise being cut and a push through the smoke with the flash to try and help it out.
Good trade from Ye, despite the fact he has an op in his hands. He's really feeling it. It's a confident peak. Ye now is a little bit stuck.
Yeah, he's pushed back into the corner here.
Yeah, doesn't have his rendezvous whatsoever. Crashes with a double Ye with a headshot, didn't even need to.
But he's guessing. Where's the positioning? The jump peek. Gives him all the info.
He's already got 3 on the round. And for Crashies, he can just play to contain. He just needs to take a look over towards Tree and stop Blaze King from rotating.
1v2, 40 seconds. 2k in the bank for Blaze King, but he might be trying to make the play.
And that's it.
It's been revealed.
That's the information that he needs, and that's the info that Ye can use.
And Blaze King, well, in this situation, he's going to want to try and take every opportunity. Obviously, the 1v2 still winnable. Moving on to the site. He has been given a lot of free reign here because Crashes has been just avoiding it, but through main, positioning, still avoiding it. Schultz tags him. There it is, slowed down to a crawl, enough for Crashies to eventually catch up to him.
And Crashies is saying to the rest of his team, what's he doing planting there?
Yeah, it's like a horror game, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Crashies was just around every corner. And now Ye goes back for his operator. He had picked up a Vandal to try and help with the clutch. Smart play. And Crashies just dances around.
Today, I'm afraid.
Or rather, Ye dances around while Crashies goes on delivery duty for him. Yeah. But that's a very well played 2v1. Crashies was never at risk of actually being killed and just played around with Blaze King the whole time.
He's very safe, always making sure that he was setting them up for the 2v1. It's so joyous.
It really is.
It's so joyous from the Optic players. Normally they're all just scowling.
That's a tough kid from Brooklyn.
Yeah. Is that true?
You didn't watch the piece with Bala earlier? Fake fan.
I am a fake fan, sorry.
Fake fan.
Yeah, you caught me unaware. Actually, just ball lacking.
Boom. Have a half buy with Spectres, Stingers, but it might still be good enough if they can set up a decent execute.
This forward position by Marved. Over the ropes. How many players are going across? Pure silence. No!
No way!
No!
No way!
Not like this!
No way!
I don't think we will ever witness anything like that
Last round in the half.
ever again in VCT history.
Oh, I don't know what I've just seen, Brent. That was a slaughter. Oh, don't.
Oh, no.
One enemy.
I mean, look at Crush, he's smiling. He's smiling when he's kind of he's picking it up. He's just smiling. He's just smiling.
He's a psychopath. And Boom, in that moment, know that they've just made VCT history for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, no. But you gotta rally back. You gotta rally back.
Rally back.
The map isn't over. The map isn't over, Josh.
Back.
One more round and a half.
Rally back.
You gotta rally back. Okay. They got weapons. Listen, they got weapons.
They're boomed esports.
No. Okay.
The problem here as well, though, seriously, is that Optic have so many ults to be able to work with here. Boom going for the classic B exec.
Yeah, no command.
But Ye's in a great position to grab a kill.
Yeah, on top of Jenny, not really being cleared out here. Stunned up, and it's being watched for. In the smoke, FNS. 3 kills on top of it. Cherry on top, isn't it? The prime game in flawless for a 9-3 half.
Switching sides.
All I ask as we go into the halftime, Brent, is that the desk don't bring up what happened.
They can't show it, can they?
Yeah, I mean,
they wouldn't.
Let's all agree we'll never mention round 11 ever again.
They wouldn't, would they?
I don't think they would.
They surely not. I mean, they're kind souls on the desk. I mean, let's send it down to them, right?
I don't know what you're talking about. You know?
There's round 11 in Valorant? I don't think there's a round 11.
I don't think there was a round 11. I think we went from 10 to 12.
Yep.
And
I think that's how it works.
And that's where we are right now.
Yeah.
Right? We're just gonna let me just wipe this off the table.
You know what?
Just gonna move on from that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
Okay, so let's talk about Ye.
Yeah, that's it. That's always in the boat, just in case fire emergency. Ye.
Ryan, take it away.
Yeah, I think the thing about Ye as well overall is that we're. Sideshow brought it up on the cast as well. Flipside, and now on that chamber, he was so good on it through the last chance qualifiers over in APAC. He had a 275 ACS on this map. Ye had 280. And right now, Ye seems to be building on that performance, playing chamber on this map. But not only that, the way that Boom are playing this is so they have like 4 players roaming around together to go for executes, and then Flipside is going for like lurks, trying to go through like underneath towards B, find those peaks. And FNS has been finding him every single time. Why? Because that's exactly what Optic like to do. Yeah, he's the one that likes to go for those lurks and find space. So it's not only a case of one chamber is diffing the other, but Optic know exactly how to deal with a problematic chamber player when it comes to the micro as well.
It's not even about just problematic chamber players. I mean, you spoke about the fact that they were able to lock down areas because they do the same thing.
Yeah.
We said on the pre-desk, you have to do the very thing that Optic does, but better. These are the masters. They've created this. This is their recipe, and you're somehow trying to make it better than Liv Nonna herself who created pasta. Good luck. I don't think that's going to happen. And I think overall, the amount of... Look, I had to put an Italian pun in there at some point.
I appreciate
but
it.
I did notice Crashy's over towards Tower. How many times was he given free reign? Where were the neon stuns to push him out of position?
He's certainly been given a lot of free kills.
Absolute free reign of Tower. So there's a lot of areas, a lot of power.
For him.
I don't want this anymore. We've got to go back in the match because I have got to free my brain of this.
Well, ask and you shall receive, my compadre. Let's go ahead and send it over to Brandon Sideshow. Do you count? It's 10 and then 12, right, guys?
I don't count past 10.
No, I mean, I never learned. That's the UK education system.
That's where my fingers run out.
Yeah.
And I normally wear socks. So.
Valorant's been pretty good for that, actually, for the education of me counting.
What, because you end up getting to 13?
I've had to learn new numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be an extraordinarily difficult comeback for Boom. I mean, 9-3 down, the pistol round, an absolute necessity.
I'm out of here.
And the pistol rounds have been fairly decent, and it looks like they've got the right read.
Yeah, this crossfire is pretty brutal, I think, as well, especially if they try and evacuate out of drop here that Optic are gearing up towards. They have the presence, the smokes are dropped down, and the fast lane, it's explosive. That's the nature of the composition at the end of the day, and like I said, the crossfire, it is ready and waiting. The Boom players, they managed to deal with just the players exploding out onto the site, but how do you deal with FNS? Just wide swinging into him with the classic makes it look like a ghost.
Yeah, good headshot from FNS.
Immediately
puts the aim punch down, and Flipside is in a 2v1, 1v2 rather.
Okay, jump peek.
A single bullet in the headhunter.
Yeah, it's difficult. A difficult ask. Flipside, especially with this cross, he has to take the fight one step at a time, has to try and bait. Again, the favorable fight, but yay, that's a wider swing from him, just in halls, making sure that he's covering the IGL's back.
And it has been somewhat of a brutal opening for Boom at the global stage. Bind was destructive, and this map seems to be going in the same direction. But I think, you know, if you take a big picture look at this, I think everyone would have expected it to be a 2-0. Sure. So the fact that they were even able to take Breeze is pretty massive for Boom. And anything that they can get out of this map, any little bit of experience they can get, stress testing their defensive side, is also going to be useful.
We'll be looking forwards to it. It's an attempt to try and shut down a Dish aggression once more. Met with just Famous left alive, and guess what? Only a shorty in his hands. Not the weapon for the job.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Remember as well that this is probably the most difficult team in the group, the Boom are facing, off the rip. You've got a Zeta division that looked like they were struggling a little bit this morning, and sure, Loud have been at the absolute heights of Valorant before, but they got grouped last time. These kind of things are not impossible. So there are some positives to still take away from this experience for Boom. It's a long tournament, but for the moment, they're getting wrecked.
Yeah, one after the other. The rounds are just piling up, aren't they? And just 2 more away until the series is carried away by Optic.
Famous down at the bottom of the scoreboard as well, 2-12, kind of struggling on the KO. We were talking about how much depth there was to this guy's agent pool. Playing the Raze as an entry, playing the Chamber sometimes as well, and some of the more supportive initiator roles like Sova and KO, just depending on what map it is. But something just hasn't quite clicked for him on this map so far, with his job being to, you know, get in there, support, and trade out. Sure. Berserk's maybe just an extremely supportive role, flashing for the Neon. Rifles in hand, this is the round to win if you Boom.
You have to win it, but already this aggressive play into the spawn. No information gathered, but a slight whiff there from Victor.
And he's mad enough to stun Crashies.
Yep, lucky that he doesn't get punished in stunning his teammate, as you mentioned.
This has just dragged so much attention away from B. And the spike, the spike was making its way into the site.
And it is pure chaos. Pandemonium has been injected into this round. Damage is done with the shots that are being rattled off. A body shot there onto Famous, dragging him down to very low health indeed. Just no one really just keeping a mindful eye on tower control. Still being locked down by Mark. The molly pushed through. That's the bottle. Trying to make the most of it right now, but it is that 2v2.
And for Crashies, he doesn't know where to put his crosshair right now. Debotal still with a stun, still with a flash, playing in tower.
One enemy remaining.
Running around, a single bullet will do the job, and eventually Debotal going to be spectating the rest of them. The crossfire, it's again what feels like just a bit of an easy one, even with all that chaos of swirling around at the beginning of that one. Now we're at series point for Optic.
They were always favored to move on into the upper side of this group, but the manner in which they've done it has been pretty
maybe lower bracket is good. Tapi map pertama bagus sih, tapi map pertama seru banget. Atau karena belum pemanasan kali ya Optic. Tapi dari awal gue udah bilang Optic emang lawan yang berat banget sih. One of the best team in the world.
Last-ditch effort here for Boom. You can see the desperation plays being made. Heavy push up through into B main, through tree. It's up to Flipsider now. He's got the judge, but way too much discipline from the Optic guys. They know there's going to be that second player there with a flash play. Crashes covers it, locking down Sand. 3v4, footsteps abound. They can hear where they're coming from. The flash play pops right into it. One singular player left standing. It's all down to Blaze King. He does do a lot of damage, a lot of work, dropping Crashes down to his knees.
Get another one for the stats, Blaze King.
Time running so short.
If he gets another kill, he does actually have Orbital Strike online.
Smoke as well.
Oh, Blaze King's been nasty before.
Opens up the door. He does not know where these players are currently located. And time is running so low. You have to start to get a move on now if there's any shot, any chance whatsoever, but it's looking like just pure inevitability. The double face from Optic and the confidence is there. That will seal the deal. The series being won by Optic. It's what we expected at the end of the day. Boom did make them sweat, at least initially.
Yeah, I think Boom can be very happy with what they were able to put out on Breeze. But for Optic, it was a slow start avoided. They had a slow start to begin the first map, and yet the second and third were crushing victories.
Oh my god.
Expect from a team with this pedigree. You were saying earlier, Brent, Optic, they've had, you know, an excellent year so far with the win at Reykjavik as well. They weren't able to get the back-to-back at Copenhagen. However, at this tournament, if they go deep, if they're able to win, they will secure themselves the greatest of all-time status heading into 2023. And all-time doesn't mean too much in Valorant.
なんじらね
My goodness. I have a feeling that won't be the last time we see it. It smiles all around. I mean, what can you do but smile about that?
I mean, at least he took it. At least he took it the right way. I gotta say, I mean, the right mentality for it. Smiles all around.
It's over.
Crashy's putting his shoes on. He's putting his shoes on. Calling it over before it even ended there, but he was right at the end of the day, wasn't he?
That's a pretty dominant finish from Optic. I think there's been some big questions for this team as well coming in about, you know, are they going to be able to keep that innovation going? And Josh, you mentioned it ever so slightly.
Are they? Yeah, that's it.
I think this fracture looked pretty good for them. They were throwing in enough variables to keep teams guessing against them. You never know when Victor's going to have an